I'm going to call our regular Board of Education meeting to order for February. And I'm going to start with our recitation of vision and mission statements. Our vision. MMSD will be a learning community where all students are valued, challenged, supported, and inspired to reach for their dreams. And our mission, MMSD creates safe and inclusive schools, delivers high quality instruction, strengthens positive relationships, and partners with families and the community to achieve student self-determination and educational excellence. Tonight's meeting does start with a few remembrances, and Board Member Muldrow will start.
We'd like to ask for a moment of silence this evening for our district to recognize the passing of Grant James Makovic, who was in 7th grade at Cherokee Heights Middle School. Grant was known for his engineering mind, his love for complex games, his vibrant, goofy personality. Grant was a born tinkerer with a deep fascination for stars. He dreamed of attending MIT to design rockets. He not only excelled in science, but his linguistic and musical talents flourished through his active participation in dual language immersion and mastery of the piano and cello. Whether he was focused on a school project or playing Dungeons and Dragons with his friends, Grant embraced every challenge. Above all, Grant was defined by his warmth. He was a devoted older brother, a source of constant laughter for his parents. He will be forever loved. Grant's passing has taken a significant toll on so many students and staff in the Cherokee Heights community, and we remember them tonight. Please join me in participating in a moment of silence in honor of Grant James Makovic. Thank you.
Next, Board Member Saravo will read our next remember.
We'd like to ask for a moment of silence this evening for our district to recognize the passing of Alexander Sasha Rosen, who was a senior at West High School. Sasha is remembered as someone who was a lover of music and the arts, known for his beautiful story and the strong bonds he formed with his teachers and peers. Sasha's passing has taken a significant toll on so many students and staff in the West High School community, and we remember them tonight. Please join me in participating in a moment of silence in honor of Alexander Sasha Rosen. Thank you.
And we have one more remembrance, which Vice President Pearson will read.
I'd like to ask for a moment of silence this evening to recognize the passing of Lonnie Went from the technical services, who served as a technician at Shorewood, Chavez, Olson, and Leopold. Lonnie previously worked as a central office technician and the helpline coordinator for the district. He was also an assistant basketball coach for West High School. Lonnie had an impact on so many lives through his work and coaching. He had an unrelenting resolve to keep tech functioning in our schools and serve as a touchstone. He assisted new staff with the open door approach to learning and a commitment to the school's community. Lonnie was a fun and positive presence as a coach, a quiet presence, but a big impact. Lonnie is remembered fondly by his tech services team, students, staff across the district, especially at Leopold, Chavez, Olson, Shorewood, and West. We will all hold his memory in our hearts. Lonnie's passing has taken a significant toll on so many students and staff, and we remember them tonight. Please join me in participating in a moment of silence in honor of Lonnie Went. Thank you.
All right. It's kind of a hard way to start the meeting. Just want to acknowledge that. I'm going to move us into the public input part of our meeting. First, I'm going to just summarize our written statements. So there were 41 written statements submitted for this meeting. 2 in support of fixing the salary compression for veteran teaching staff, and 39 in support of a needs-based allocation model that accounts for poverty, homelessness, trauma, and special education for students that are enrolled. We have registered speakers tonight, 1 online and 6 here in person. And before we start our public input, just as a reminder for those who are here tonight that we have 3 minutes for you to be able to give public comment. For those who are in person, you'll see a clock up here, and you'll also see a little black box on the podium. When you see the yellow light, that usually means you're about 30 seconds. And then the red light means that your time has come to an end. Please just try to finish your thoughts as succinctly as you can. Just a reminder that as the board, we don't respond to public comments, but if there are issues that you definitely want follow up on, we will definitely make sure that there are staff who can follow up with you regarding your concerns. We do, let me see, Dr. McCrae is here in the front row and can definitely be available as kind of our liaison if there's somebody that you want to talk to more immediately. And your public comments don't have to be related to tonight's topic, and or of course they can be as well. For tonight's agenda, we do have an agenda item that is specific to the detachment for a parcel in the Verona Area School District. And I'm just wondering if there's anybody in attendance tonight who was speaking specifically on that item. All right. I'm not seeing anyone. We'll start with our online speaker, Jesse, and then we'll move to our online speakers.
Thank you. Our online speaker is Jamison Graves.
To the members of the Board of Education, as a student at Kennedy Elementary, I am writing to express my profound alarm regarding proposed staffing allocations for the upcoming school year. While the district projects reduce or decrease of only 15 students, our schools are facing reduction of a full 3 classrooms, teacher sections, and 0.6 related arts positions. This reduction is unsustainable given the reality of our 490 children face every day. 1-star crisis. Kennedy remains the 1-star school for the 3rd consecutive year. This significantly impacts our school, students, and district's reputation. Safety and mental health. There are approximately 40 behavioral calls daily. Furthermore, 43% of students in 1 grade level screened at risk for significant signs of emotional or behavioral concerns. For example, I had 30 calls in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. I had these behavioral issues because I was not able to talk things through my teacher, who I felt safe talking to. So when my teachers can't intervene to stop Through it, behavior will just escalate. For example, if nobody could show up to talk to me, it would get to the point where I felt like nothing would happen, and they wouldn't catch me or stop me. Now, let's get on the topic of academic learning during these disruptions. You have 25,000 plus students, and in the year 21 to 22 school year, 80% of students felt safe. In 23 to 22, it was 77% of them. But what changed? A lot. Decrease in support and funding. Academic learning. There are two types of students. One type of student who is here ready to learn, and the other type is someone who tries. They think it's okay to leave class because teachers don't have time, and then they don't have time for a one-on-one conversation. So then they proceed to exit class. Then on tests and work, they are in failing or in danger of failing. That's why exit class, and the teacher thinks they don't have time. That's why we should have smaller classes, 15 to 18. It gives time for the student and teacher an opportunity to talk one-on-one with the student and keep 20 plus kids in a class. It doesn't give a teacher opportunity to talk to a student. The teacher is only one person. If you want to keep 20 plus kids in a class, put SEAs or TAs in there with the teacher. Nor can kids focus when there's stuff going on outside or inside of the class. Ask your kids if they feel distracted when a student is yelling at staff, causing a disruption. And one more thing, students are not numbers. I'm done. Thank you. Sincerely, Jameson Graves, Kennedy 4th grade student.
Thank you. All right, our first speaker in person is Caitlin Fauché, and then followed by Andrea Miserelli. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced any names.
Good evening, school board. As a staff member at Kennedy Elementary, I'm writing to express my profound alarm regarding the proposed staffing allocation for the upcoming school year. With the district projecting a minor decrease of only 15 students, our school is facing a reduction of 3 full classroom teachers and a 0.6 related arts position. This reduction is unsustainable given the reality of our 490 plus children every day. We are a one-star school. We're in a crisis. Kennedy remains a one-star school and an MMSD, the only one for the 3rd consecutive year. Our safety and mental health are a major concern. We manage approximately 40 behavioral support calls daily. Furthermore, 43% of students in 3rd grade, the grade that I teach, was screened at being at risk for significant emotional, social, and behavioral concerns with the Bounce Back program survey. Special education density in one of our classrooms, 47% of students either have an IEP or in the referral process. Reducing general ed classroom teachers will only increase class size and further overwhelm our already overloaded cross-categorical staff. And we also have extreme instability. 10% of our students, roughly 50 kids, are currently experiencing homelessness, which is double the district average. The current enrollment-based funding model is mathematically indifferent to those human needs. As Jameson said, these are kids, not numbers. Cutting 3 teachers while our population remains largely unstable and our trauma levels remaining high, that will completely jeopardize our student safety and academic recovery. I'm asking the board to reverse the staffing cuts, maintain our current classroom teacher allocation to prevent a total collapse of instructional support, adopt a need-based funding model, move away from the strict enrollment numbers, and instead allocate staff based on poverty, housing instability, and special education density, and provide immediate relief to Kennedy now, sending more mental health professionals this semester to address our 40 plus daily crisis calls, which are truly mental health crises at our school. We are not asking for special treatment. We are asking for the basic resources required to make excellence a reality for our students. And I'm happy to host you anytime if anyone would like to come to Kennedy during the school day. You can come to 214 and be with me. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, Andrea is coming up, and then following will be Catherine Howley.
Specific approach to reading.
All right. Good evening, board members and the public. My name is Andrea Miserelli. I'm president of Madison Teachers, Inc., MTI. And as we know, February is the month of heart and love. For the past 5 months, you've heard from speakers and read emails from veteran staff members who have given their hearts, their time, and their lives to the Madison community. Tonight, we have Valentines for the board members. We are delivering these because we still believe in our hearts that you will act on what is right today and not let it wait. Our message comes with one urgent request. Please unbreak our hearts and fix the salary compression immediately. According to your HR reports and hiring pages, there have been at least 50 vacant teacher positions every single month this year. The district allocates about $100,000 per teacher position in allocations that they tell the principals for conversions. With 30 vacancies remaining unfilled each month, that leaves a surplus of $3 million that was already budgeted for the staff compensation that will go unspent. Typically, this money simply rolls over into Fund 10 surplus at the end of the budget cycle in July. We are asking you tonight to be more intentional with those funds. I ask you to find it in your hearts to make a motion to fix the salary compression this year. Use the money that was already allocated for the staff to finally support the staff who are actually here in the buildings doing this hard work. If you cannot fix it for everyone today, then start with the 375 staff members who have served this district for 20 years or more. Those educators have been undervalued for 2 decades. Every day we wait to fix this, we are not just impacting their current take-home pay, we are permanently shrinking their retirement and their future security. Dr. Bernice King once said, "Justice is not a destination, it is a continuous journey. We cannot simply sit on the sidelines of progress and hope for the best. We must take active steps to ensure the equity and fairness are woven into the fabric of our society." So please do not continue to sit on the issue that has been done for years. Our veteran staff continues to give their hearts to this district without feeling the love returned by the board. We have been in a long-term relationship, and we are simply asking you to show your loyal staff the love back that we deserve. Thank you.
All right, next up is Catherine Howley, and then followed by Abby Harburn. I see Harburn, I think. Okay. But Catherine Howley first? Oh, there you are.
Can you all hear me okay? Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Gothard. I appreciate your attention while I'm addressing the board tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to do so. While I was catching up on local news this weekend, the mention of MMSD caught my attention, as it always does. I heard the story where our wonderful teachers launched an initiative to increase their visits to students' homes. This initiative is a partnership with the National Education Association to make home visits as a part of a deeper family engagement. Training is already underway at Sandburg and Franklin Elementary Schools. This is absolutely amazing. This news hit me in a few different ways. I was thrilled to hear this positive news coming out of my district about the extensive, over-the-top, endless work that our teachers do for our kids. For so many weeks, all the progress from our district has been drowned out by the teachers fighting for their livelihoods and discussing the ongoing issue of salary compression. We've been hearing stories of our 25-year veteran teachers working through their second and their third jobs to make ends meet. And also what we consistently hear from our teachers is how much they love their jobs and how much they love these kids. I also think about all the time and the money these men and women spend to keep these jobs and to do them well. All the snacks and the classroom materials, the cost of field trips, and all the other things that I don't even know yet because I'm a parent of a second grader, so I don't know the next many years of this. The time spent at these Monday night meetings speaking to you all, and the time spent at their own meetings speaking with each other and supporting each other through the struggles of these jobs that they love so, so much. For over a decade, there's been a very, very well documented racial literacy gap that has plagued our state and our city. In 2015, Wisconsin Watch ran a headline, and in 2025, WPR ran a very similar headline noting that Wisconsin again has the widest gap for US math and reading scores between white and Black students. Local organizations such as Blacks for Political and Social Action of Dane County, MMSD school principals have spoken about their own experiences at their schools, and a lot of published research from our own UW School of Education have all linked very strong connections between school and home as major factors to increase success for our students and their academic performance. I know the decision has already been made that many tens of thousands of dollars will be spent on a study to tell us how our MMSD employees are compensated in comparison to others with the district and within the district and externally competitive. The purpose of me speaking tonight is to note that while the start of next year's budgets are taking shape in the spring, the compensation of our veteran teachers needs to take priority. All of the new logos and the strategic planning and the fresh slogans will not get us anywhere if we do not take care of our biggest asset, which is our teachers. The ask is, please make it a destination district for them, and it will become a destination district for us. Thank you for your time.
All right, we have this Abby, followed by the next Abby. Abby, was it Keel? All right, thanks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Abby Harbor, and thank you for having me. My daughter is a first grader at Kennedy Elementary. You've heard from student and teachers. I'm speaking as a parent. My son will also be a Kennedy student in just a few years. My daughter loves school. She loves to learn, and she has experienced being in class with other students who have high behavioral needs that could not be met with the current staffing levels that we have at Kennedy and the staffing crisis that we are facing. When students who need one-to-one support do not get it, our teachers are forced to spend all of their energy and all of their time keeping kids safe instead of teaching. Kennedy has amazing teachers, amazing administrators and support staff, but they can't meet the needs of every student with the current resources that they have. I'm continually impressed as a parent with what they do have, but they can't sustain this. When my daughter has experienced other students behaving violently towards other children or exhibiting disruptive behaviors, it's resulted in fear and anxiety about going to school. She's worried about being on the receiving end of these behaviors, and she doesn't want to go to school, and that breaks my heart. She loves school. She loves her teachers and her friends. Sorry, lost my place here. All of our students deserve a classroom where they can be safe and where they can learn. And this is particularly harmful and particularly important for those students with those high behavioral support needs who are being put at an even greater disadvantage and who will be behind their peers both socially and academically if their needs. So I am asking you all that you fund additional cross-categorical teachers, special education assistants, mental health professionals for our school, for Kennedy, and to adopt a need-based allocation model for school funding. Kennedy's student body faces some of the greatest challenges in this district, but our kids are kind, they are hardworking, and they are capable. And that is especially true when they are given the support and access to the resources that they need. Kennedy is Madison's only one-star school, and so I ask you today, what is your plan to support our students and our teachers so that they can really live up to that mission that you read at the beginning of this meeting? Thank you.
All right, we have Abby Keel. Keel.
Yep.
All right, and then followed, and our final speaker is Colleen Kerr.
Good evening. My name is Abby Keel. I am a first-year kindergarten teacher at Kennedy Elementary. I entered this profession with my eyes wide open. I knew teaching was a calling, and I knew it would be hard work. I didn't come here expecting a walk in the park. I came here to make a difference. But there is a difference between hard work and a broken system. Hard work is sustainable. A broken system is a path to burnout. Following a chaotic lunch period where 5-year-olds were running, climbing tables, and swearing, I gave my students just 10 minutes to color and decompress. One little girl walked up to me and said, "I drew this for you." It was a stick figure with a circle around it. When I asked her what it was, she replied, "It's you in a body bag." Take a moment to let that sink in. A 5-year-old should be worried about recess or Play-Doh. To have the vocabulary and the mental imagery of a body bag at that age is a cry for help. It signals a level of trauma and exposure that no child should carry. I can control the warmth of my classroom. I can ensure she is fed and safe for 7 hours, but I cannot control a system that denies her the high quality, equitable, inclusive instruction promised in the MMSD mission statement. During New Educator Days, we sat through presentation after presentation where the district bragged about its commitment to equity. We were told that MMSD is a place where resources meet needs. But since I've stepped into my classroom at the only one-star school in this district for 3 consecutive years, I haven't seen that bragged about equity in action. This is not a failure of staff commitment. It is a failure of resource allocation. The reality in our hallways is staggering. We average 40 behavioral support calls every single day. Our current staffing cannot meet these needs, especially when in some classrooms, nearly half of the students require specialized interventions or are in the referral process. Many of my students require constant one-on-one support just to remain safe, yet we do not have the staff to cover them. The board's stated beliefs claim that resources are critical to education. If you believe that every individual has the right to a safe, respectful, and vibrant environment, then you must acknowledge that the current enrollment-based funding model is not equitable. It is an outdated math equation that ignores human suffering and the very real changes occurring in our communities. I am asking the board to prove these are not just words on a website or a marketing script at those new educator presentations. Prove you believe in the mission by adopting a need-based allocation model that accounts for poverty, trauma, and special education needs. I want to stay. I want to be the teacher these children deserve, but I and many others will burn out if you continue to prioritize an outdated formula over the lives and needs of our students and the well-being of your staff. We are not asking for special treatment. We are asking for the equity you have already promised our children. What is your plan to finally align your resources with your mission? Thank you.
All right, our final speaker, Colleen Kerr.
I bought some books that Marilyn's going to give to you, but it's just we're handing these out to a lot of people. And you guys, I'm not just doing this with MSD, we're doing this with multiple school districts. But there is a piece of this that I do want to share, because when we were before the legislature a few weeks ago, Ms. Sarabo, I believe, had some comments about our legislation. And I'm not to comment, you have a right to comment, but I just wanted to have people understand why I'm about to share this partnership with you. So I'm a 5th generation Madisonian. My family's been here since 1907. I'm a 1989 graduate of Madison West High School. I'm a veteran of the United States Navy, Submarine Corps, and I'm a graduate of UW-Madison, born and raised here. I was a co-founder of Black History Bowl. These are all the ways I've helped MMSD in 1995. I was appointed by former Superintendent Cheryl Wilhoit to the panel called the Equity Diversity Advocacy Panel when they first decided to really start to hone in on addressing the issues that are related to our children. Shape tutoring program, I started that at the UW with Miriam Block, which became the seed for the foundation of Schools of Hope. The United Way would tell you that. The Minority Student Achievement Consultant, I was hired by DPI in 1997, served 2 years in that role. That role hadn't been created before I got there. I helped MMSD a lot through that. The ITA program, which my former wife, Lisa, actually is the founder of. I worked with her on developing that. That has benefited hundreds of children at MMSD. The UW System Plan for Diversity in 2008, I was a member of that. That's helped this school district, and through that, we created the People Program. I'm the progenitor of that program, which some of your board members have got their degrees through that program. High school graduation rates in the United States, I commissioned that in 2001, which helped move us from dropout rates, which calculate who starts 12th grade and who finishes, to who actually starts 9th grade and finishes. It resulted in billions of dollars being spent on education reform, including right here in Madison. I was appointed by the Bush administration on the panel advising U.S. Secretary in the White House on No Child Left Behind. I was the youngest member. And when Obama announced his initiative, Race to the Top, at Wright Middle School, I was the only person from Wisconsin and the youngest member to select who would get that money for those states. I could go on, but what I'm here today for is to invite you guys to partnership. I've talked a little bit about Joe with this, but because we want to actually talk to boards as well, we recently signed a partnership with the University of Florida. It's Literacy Institute, UFly. We are going to be its Midwest training hub. There are going to be states from around us that will bring their people to our school to train. We are partnering with them. It's very cost effective. It's $280 a person to go through the first 2 pop-up days that you can learn a lot. We put all 100 plus of our staff through it, including our kitchen staff, Ms. Marilyn, everybody. People went home working on teaching their kids how to read. So I was worried when I saw, and I'll stop. I was worried when I saw that Schools of Hope was going away. So I reached out to United Way. We want to try to partner with as many districts as we can to get as many tutors trained into your schools, businesses, community organizations, et cetera. So I wanted to just offer that to you. I want to talk to you all, including you, Ms. Saravo, about it. We're excited about it. It's cost effective. That's all. Thanks for the extra time. If you don't mind, I'll leave these up here for you so you can get on with your business. And these are just some history documents on MMSD and some kind words about you, Joe. A little bit of your history that people need to know. Thank you. There's some extras for your staff. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you to all of our speakers tonight. We appreciate you taking the time to come and let us know what's on your mind. With that, I'm gonna move us into the next section of our agenda, which is approval of the minutes. I move that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the regular meeting dated January 26, 2026.
Second.
All right, any questions or comments on the minutes? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, and Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, that passes unanimously. We'll now move into board presidents' announcements and reports. So first I'll start off with things to celebrate in our community, and I'll share these announcements with Vice President Pearson. February is Black History Month. So the board would like to acknowledge the contributions and the history that Black people have made in Wisconsin and throughout the nation and world.
I have my Black History pin on. MMSD's 22nd annual Read Your Heart Out initiative launched across the district. Read Your Heart Out is an annual celebration of literacy, cultural pride, and community engagement that embraces the African concept of Sankofa, which it symbolizes a quest for knowledge, and the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, which celebrates learning, family, and celebration. I had so much fun reading my heart out all week last week, including I was there in Kennedy, and one of the students' class that spoke tonight. It was just a lot of fun, and I'm still reading my heart out all this week to finish out February. So we're going to go ahead and celebrate the students. Casey Barnhill, an 8th grader student at Madison Metropolitan School District's Velma B. Hamilton Middle School, earned top honors at Saturday's Madison All-City Spelling Bee, securing a first place finish and advancing to the upcoming state competition. And all spelling bees. AJ Beard, a junior at Memorial, placed first in state in the WIAA boys 100-meter diving competition, earning a score of 472.9. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm sure that's great. Max Garbex, a West sophomore, earned first place in the boys 500-yard freestyle with a time of 4 minutes and 31.06 seconds. He also placed first in the WIA boys 200-yard individual medley and a time of 1 minute, 47.29 seconds. Very fast.
Right, continuing with some of our student celebrations, East High School's girls wrestling team made history by winning the first ever women's city title, highlighted by 3 individual city champions and strong team performances. And congratulations to O'Keefe, Whitehorse, and Hamilton Middle Schools for earning top honors in this year's district-wide book bowl, where students showcased teamwork and a true love of reading through Mad for Reading. All right, to close out our announcements for tonight. Tonight on our consent agenda, the board would like to acknowledge and thank individuals and organizations that have donated to the district. We have Power Logistics, an in-kind donation of Chromebook chargers, which are valued at $41,930. And the Mortgage Family Foundation for a donation in the amount of $25,000 for an outdoor classroom to be constructed at Memorial High School. So again, many thank you to our community and donations. And with that, yeah. And with that, I'll pass over to Superintendent Gothard.
Thank you. President Nichols, members of the board, staff, and community, thank you so much for this opportunity. As President Nichols shared, we're celebrating Black History Month. Our schools have been hosting a variety of events throughout February to help them uplift this experience. I joined James C. Wright Middle School as part of their Black History celebration. The event featured an awards presentation as well as a variety of student performances, and seeing them present with confidence and pride emphasizes the amazing students we have in MMSD. Celebrating at Wright Middle School is particularly meaningful given its namesake's legacy of civil rights and advocacy. He started the Equal Opportunity Commission back in the early 1960s in Madison. Reverend Wright did. It was inspiring to see our students carry that work forward, showing that they are not just leaving history, they are making it. As President Nichols shared, we launched our 22nd year of Read Your Heart Out. This year's theme honors the principle of UJIMA, which is collective work and responsibility that builds and maintains our community together and makes our community's problems our problems, so as to solve them together. This theme underscores the fact that we cannot do this work alone. A student's success takes all of us contributing our time, energy, and heart. When I visited Mendota and Midvale, and I better mention Laurie Mancari, I saw the impact of the collective effort firsthand. As I connected with them, read to them, and talked with them, it was clear how much it meant to them and why Read Your Heart Out matters so much. Also reading in Kennedy last week as well. Just incredible to see our students in their classrooms, engaged in books, engaged with one another, engaged in storytelling, but most importantly, they love their schools. They absolutely do. Lastly, Read Your Heart Out is just one of the many stories that I wanted to uplift, and it's important to tell our stories. We had the opportunity to provide updates about our work happening in MMSD as part of our second media roundtable held earlier this month. Reporters from multiple outlets joined me, and I shared many of the great things our students and staff are doing. I also shared information about the referenda, Building for the Future, MMSD Excellence Together, safety, our budget, and advocacy efforts. Opportunities like this help provide another way to help our community stay informed of what's happening in MMSD. And I think I'd also be remiss if I did not say it has been a really difficult couple weeks for our community for a number of reasons. And I just want to thank everyone for their positive messages, our school communities who have remained so strong together. I'm just so proud would be an understatement to sit and watch a school community come together in some of their hardest moments brings out a beauty also of what public schools mean to our community and our city. So I just want to thank everyone for your extra love and support, courage, and just your ability to come together in some of these very, very challenging moments. And that's it, President Nichols. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I appreciate the sentiment you just expressed. I know, talking to you a couple of times when you needed to share news that I could also tell as a superintendent how hard it was to sit with just sadness and tragedy. And so I just want to say I appreciate you also acknowledging how school communities and our community are coming together, and also for you holding that as the leader of our district. So much appreciation. Okay. We're going to move into our next part of the agenda, which is a report on the items that proceeded through the instruction work group held on February 2nd, 2026. And I'll turn that over to the chair work group, board member Muldrow.
Thank you so much, Board Chair Nichols. At our last instruction work group, we received an update on early learning. And then we also received an update on our K-8 math material recommendation. We were able to review our anti-bullying policy. And our next meeting, we will be focusing on special education and getting the class size report for the second portion of the year. There are no other updates from us. Thank you.
Next, we'll report on items that proceeded through the operations work group held on February 9th, 2026, and I'll turn that over to work group chair Castro.
Hello. Is it time for the work group update for operations?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, all right. So got it. Yeah, last month we had our referendum update. We continued our budget development with revenue projections. And then we discussed a slate of policies, including driver responsibility, administering medication, naming or renaming a MMSD school building or school facility, and naming a facility or area within a school or school campus. Our next meeting is March 9th, 2026, where we have 6 items on the agenda. One is an update on the attendance boundary review. The next one will be healthcare and benefits, then another referendum update, food service, staffing projections and workbooks, and then further development of the 2026-2027 budget, and including compensation, revenue projections, and review priority equity things being put forth to us. So another busy meeting with budget development.
Thank you, board member Castro. All right. So as board member Muldrow said, we did review our anti-bullying policy at the instruction work group. That's coming forward tonight as an action item. So I will start with that first action item. And this is for policy 4510, anti-bullying. I move that the Board of Education approve policy 4510, anti-bullying, in accordance with the documents prepared for February 23rd, 2026 regular meeting. The policy will be revised effective immediately.
Second, Maya.
All right. Any questions or comments on this policy tonight? All right. I'm just looking for. All right. Seeing none, I had to make sure I could see both board members virtually. Then I will call the question. Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 All right, thank you. That was unanimous, so none opposed. Moving on to our next item that also came out of the instructional work group, which is a big one. Our new core instructional resources for K-8 math. And let me get to our motion. I move that the Board of Education approve an expenditure in the amount of $4,992,083.66 for the full RFP number 4155 total amount over the fiscal years of 2026 through 2033.
Second, Maya.
All right, are there any questions or comments about our K-8 math curriculum? Okay, I saw Board Member Vandermeulen, then Board Member Muldrow, coming back to Board Member Saravo.
I appreciate the administration answering my questions on the effects of special education in this new math curriculum. I do appreciate that it will be easier to provide individualized instruction, which I think is a good plus because that is something mathematics has always been an issue because when you pull kids out, they often can get behind really, really quickly. My two questions are, one, just to reiterate, did we have parent and staff participation in work groups discussing this math curriculum? It's my first question. And then my second question is, how much is PD going to cost?
President Nichols, Board Member Vanderbilt, Becky Kundert is here to take our questions tonight regarding the math RFP. Becky?
Quinn is also with me this evening. Yep, sorry.
Quinn Marks as well.
Hi, Quinn.
All right, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. Per the RFP process, up until this point, we have worked with the evaluation and selection team, which was representative of 40 MMSD stakeholders, including school-based staff, as well as central office team leads. Once we get approval of the recommendation, we would be able to get greater input around the implementation of the core instructional materials. At this point, it hasn't been shared beyond our smaller team. Can you?
Question about the PD cost?
Yes, so we have planned for professional learning to start this spring, knowing that we don't want to wait until welcome back to get materials in the hands of our teachers. So have plans for a launch with K-12 building administrators as well as instructional coaches to really learn more about the problem-based approach to professional learning and providing them with the resources that they need to be able to support teachers with instruction. In May, we are looking at providing professional learning for our classroom teachers, as well as our ESL, our bilingual resource teachers, our special ed teachers, and our advanced learning specialists to work together to learn about the core instructional resource again before the end of this school year so that we can continue professional learning at Welcome Back.
And what is the cost estimate?
The cost for the spring is $39,000.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Was that it for right now, Board Member Vandermeer?
Yes.
Okay, I'll move to Board Member Muldrow.
Thank you, Board President Nichols. Today marks a significant milestone, a moment where we can celebrate the culmination of extensive, thoughtful, purposeful journey in selecting our math curriculum. But let's not forget, this is just the beginning of an exciting new chapter. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to our superintendent for prioritizing student achievement in math as a cornerstone of our strategic plan. This commitment is instrumental in shaping a brighter future for our students. As we gather this evening, I encourage our administration to be prepared to address the crucial issues of both gender and racial disparities in math, particularly concerning advanced learning and strength-based opportunities. This dialogue is vital for ensuring equitable access for all students. I've talked about this before, but it is 2026. We don't have a single African-American girl in our curriculum program. There's over 500 students who are taking calculus in our district, and It is a very minimal percentage of those students who identify as African American. There are no African American girls. And if we don't have a problem with that, I think we need to start having a problem with that. I am eager to hear how this curriculum supports our middle school students who are poised to tackle algebra in 7th grade and geometry in 8th grade. It is essential that we provide the right foundation for their success. Furthermore, I am keen to discuss how we will ensure that instructional time for math at the elementary level is not only maintained but enhanced. Are we dedicating more time to math instruction? It is vital that our educators are actively involved in this discussion about how much access students have to math materials and instruction each day. Lastly, I'd like to ask about the experiences of other districts that have adopted this curriculum. What student outcome data are we aiming to achieve in comparison to those districts, understanding this will this will guide our strategic efforts moving forward. I want to thank everybody for their hard work tonight. If you all would like me to repeat any of the questions I asked, I'm happy to do it. I did provide them beforehand, so I'm hoping you folks feel comfortable addressing them.
Thank you for your questions. We are really committed to providing a solid foundation of grade level standards starting in kindergarten through 7th grade. We know that when students are successful and build that strong foundation early on, that students not only take algebra, but they're successful in it, and it opens doors for those more advanced math classes. We did, as a math task force, share an updated 4K-12 math pathways this last spring that really does allow all of our students, even our students who are taking algebra as freshmen, to access those higher level math courses. In order for a student to take geometry in 7th grade, it would require that we subject accelerate by 2 grade levels, which would have to happen during those early elementary years.
My example was geometry in 8th grade and algebra in 7th grade. So that would put, you're saying that would put a kid 2 years ahead?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying that. The second question was around instructional time at the elementary level. So currently we have 75 minutes of math instruction. Our current resource requires 80 minutes of daily math instruction. Illustrative math is designed for 60 minutes of daily instruction. We do hope to maintain the current 75 minutes. We would want to work with teachers who are a part of our implementation planning team to really think about what is the guidance for using that additional 15 minutes. So I'm thinking about including the centers that are a part of the curricular resource and are built into the lessons in kindergarten and 1st grade. They're built in less for 2nd grade, and they are seen as optional in grades 3 through 5. We do not believe centers and that additional practice should be optional. So we would like to use the 15 minutes to embed that, as well as additional practice minutes to extend the learning and provide targeted instruction based on student need.
I believe Board Member Mulder, the other question was related to other districts who have used this curriculum, right? Okay.
Yes.
Obviously, we have been in this place of like looking with our math task force over time. And then as the materials had come to us, knowing in the past couple of weeks that this has been our time to kind of dig into IM a little bit. So right now what we can tell you is we know that IM is growing across the country. We know that it's growing in over 800,000 students are utilizing that current 2025 curricular resource. And we also know that there are 15 of the 20 largest school districts in our country that are using it. So we have, Quinn and I have both been able to be a part of, with the Council for Great City Schools, a monthly meeting where we are learning with them about from 3 other school districts around their implementation of IM. At that point, we didn't know we were going to be leaning into that, to be really honest. So we've been hearing from New York, Philadelphia, and then LA Unified. I was like, LAUSD, LA Unified School District. Through that process with the council, we know that Philadelphia has done an extensive amount of work around what the results have been for their students. And I think one of the things that people are thinking about when you look at that is that you see over the last 3 years an increase minimally of 5% at each of those levels of their grade levels. We linked that also in the email response, so hopefully that's helpful for you. And I think it's important to also call out within Philadelphia School District that they have a very diverse, more diverse population than we do. So when you start to see those results, you can see that there's obviously a greater impact on many categories for our students, however we disaggregate them. So I would say overall, we know that specifically about Philly. And then with other school districts, we don't have they have not done an extensive research at impact, like study and report that's gone out yet. I also want to note that many school districts talk about and consider their implementation was also during COVID. And we know all of us remember really well what that looked like during COVID times and how we were instructing in our own classrooms and what did that mean. So it's been a big lift across places as they kind of get back into full days of school.
Thank you so much for responding to my questions. I want to acknowledge that one of the things that makes me excited about this curriculum is the ability to have a coherent K through 12 approach and the fact that we're already using this at the high school level. My greatest concern is really around that time issue. And so I don't want to be hopeful that we will continue to have 75 minutes of math instruction. I want to have an expectation that we will continue to have a robust amount of time spent on math to support math. I think it's really important that we acknowledge over 70% of our students who identify as white are proficient or advanced in the area of mathematics, and less than 5% of our African American students are. We have a lot of work to do in this area. I'm very excited to do that work in partnership with you all. I appreciate the work that you all have done to champion this curriculum and make sure we were well aware of our options in terms of providing high quality instruction and tools that support it. That's it for me. Thank you so much, Board President Nichols.
All right, I'm going to come back to Board Member Saravo, and then it looks like Board Member Vandermeulen again. Okay.
The things that stuck out for me as far as looking at the math, and the questions that I had submitted beforehand that I'd like to go over are in terms for what are we doing with the manipulatives that come along with this for the kids that have more of a differentiated or programming, making sure that those options that are additional to the core content, who is getting access to those? Is it going to be across both special education and the expectation that general education teachers also have the same access to that so that we have them working together in alignment and have access to the same material? I really want to lean into Board Member Mosler-Feldham and her teacher hat and talk about PD and wondering what does professional development look like since this is a new math that we're rolling out to everybody. And it's going to be a new way to teach it. And what does support look like on a day-to-day basis and long-term? And then I also want to look at what does play-based instruction look like for our young learners out there, especially when we're talking about literacy, science, and art, as we have a lot of different ways of bringing a lot of our instruction into those areas as well. And then I would like us to review how we are partnering with MTI to gather feedback related to the rollout and implementation of this process and monitoring student learning and math achievement data. I know it's a lot. If you need me to go over them again, please let me know.
Should have been taking notes. Thank you for your questions. So I think it's important, first of all, just to lift that our students with IEPs are general education students first, right? So should be included in the core with their general education peers with specially designed instruction as a supplement to help students access the grade level core instruction. As part of our purchase, the manipulative kits for grades K through 8 have been included, that we will be purchasing those for all of our classroom sections. And so those will be accessible for all students. And they're used intentionally in the curriculum to help students move from more concrete representations to something that's more abstract. We believe that students need to have materials in their hands to make sense of and build that deep conceptual understanding. So that's absolutely part of our plan. I would say that the center activities for elementary school students are designed to be very play-based. So students are practicing, building fluency, solidifying concepts that have been introduced in a unit, but also revisiting things that have been taught earlier on. Those are used pretty flexibly. Students have choice. There's multiple ways to be able to practice a skill. It would be similar to the workplaces that we have in our current Bridges curriculum, and students find a lot of joy in engaging in those activities as a way to practice. So it's doing math without maybe even knowing that you're doing math. We do believe that we need to have a full year of implementation, implementing the resource as designed so that teachers get to know it well before we think about how we make connections to other parts of the school day. There are recommendations for texts that teachers can bring in to sort of bring math concepts to life. There are also videos in every unit that are helping students make connections to real world context and sort of think about applying the math outside of the classroom. So we're excited about that. I think you had asked something about professional learning. Can you restate?
Like, what does long time PD look like versus like the short term, and which will they have access to on a day-to-day basis?
So we're really excited that members of the evaluation and selection team, I believe every single one of our school-based staff has agreed to continue and be part of the implementation planning team. So pending your approval this evening, we have scheduled 4 dates this spring, the first one being next week, to really be able to dig in and think about, let's really get to know the ins and the outs of the resource and think about how we support teachers in year 1 to be able to use this to really maximize the impact on students. And so we will be doing that planning. We have committed to sharing a 3-year implementation plan by June 30th. And we know that we're implementing it middle school first. We'll do a lot of learning and be able to make adjustments as needed as we think about then implementing at elementary the following year. Our goal for both middle school and elementary is to provide the professional learning this spring before resources are implemented in the fall, really to get a jump start. We know that when we introduce something brand new at Welcome Back, right, the week before school starts, when there's lots going on, that teachers don't feel supported and ready to use the resource. So we're intentionally planning to do that early. We are using sort of the structures that already exist for professional learning. So we've worked with, and MTI has been a part of sort of Welcome Back and our roll-alike dates. And so those will be venues for us to continue learning with staff once the school year begins. We also have monthly instructional coach meetings. And so we will be working closely with our instructional coaches to make sure that they have the tools that they need to be able to support team planning and engage in those coaching cycles with teachers as the resource is implemented.
There was another question from Board Member Saravo about, can you describe how you've partnered with MTI or what the partnership might look like going forward?
So using existing structures, right, for professional learning, I will also say that we have staff representing 20 schools on both the selection team as well as the implementation planning team, all of which I believe are MTI members. One of them is a building MTI representative. Once we get approval for the resource, we are looking at additional feedback channels to hear from staff to make sure that the professional learning that we're providing is supportive of both what teachers need, but also ultimately what our students are going to need.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to see this coming to us and that that we're going to be having new math material for our students. I'm going to be anxious to continue to know that teachers are getting support that they need on a day-to-day basis and just having good access to those materials. And that the students who are our younger learners, who are very active, have a variety of ways that they can connect with the material. Both those are in special education and our advanced learners. And when parents are coming and getting updates from their teachers, that there is a very well-rounded and cohesive structure that is just felt through the teachers in the conversation, so that parents know that all the teachers really understand what their kiddo is up to every day and exactly what they're getting out of it, and that how it's complementing their education. So thank you very much.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to Board Member Vandermeulen. Second time I see Board Member Mosner Feltham up and Board Member Castro. Okay.
Appreciate that. Chair, one thing that I forgot, I have two questions, one comment. Start with the comment. I forgot to mention, thank you for including dual exceptionality in that, in the information and the questions. I really appreciate that. That's normally data that we don't always see, and I really do appreciate that inclusion. My other questions are, and is this mic on? Because sometimes I forget. Sorry. My other questions are, since we're spending 39,000 this spring, so then would we spend 39,000 then again in the fall? Do we know? It's kind of like when I go shopping. I like to make sure I budget enough in advance so I don't run out at the counter, because I'm always seeing something at the counter I absolutely have to have. So I just like to know my in advance.
If I may, President Nichols, Board Member Vandermeulen, Quinn and Becky, if you could share kind of the multi-year purchase and what that includes.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so the multi-year purchase includes teacher materials for grades 6 through 8 and K through 5, purchased in different years, as well as the manipulative kits and the center materials at K5. It's also 6 years worth of student consumables and the professional learning that we've planned for this spring.
Got it. So we do get quite a bit.
Yeah. With our purchase, with the 6-year commitment, IM has sort of set aside for us a professional learning specialist that will work with our team through year 1 of implementation with middle schools. And then the following year, we will have the same professional learning specialist to support our implementation with elementary.
And I think it's important to note on that the benefit of having it spread out is obviously it's not a cost all at once.
Right.
It also doesn't indicate that here it is, unpack it and do it all, in one implementation, that it's over time and there's going to be support along the way as well. So I really credit how it was structured, in this partnership.
I'm liking that, and that actually leads to my next question. So that really helped me quite a bit, because I like that with the amount we get, my own and the 6-year commitment, I can deal with that. Want to make sure my last question is on siloing. How do we make sure that this isn't just a siloed curriculum, that it's a curriculum for everyone?
Yeah, so when you say siloed, do you mean like, could you say a little bit more about what you mean?
Siloed meaning an independent, you only work on math in math, you don't use it in other applications, whatsoever, and you don't use it in other parts of the curriculum on the school day?
So I think that illustrative math does a really nice job making connections beyond the math that we do in the classroom. So helping students to see those real world connections. I think as we get to know the curriculum, that's something that our teachers do really well, and helping students see connections between what they're learning in science or literacy and social studies. I do think that takes some time to get to know the materials, but I would absolutely see us making those types of connections.
Yes, I definitely think we need to try and put that into PD if possible, because I mean, just like my colleague doesn't want to waste the 15 minutes. Maybe we can use that as part of the 15 minutes. How does this work with English? How does this work with social studies? How does this work with other areas? I mean, I'm not a teacher, but I'm thinking it's a possibility. And thank you. That's all.
All right, Board Member Mosner Feltham and then Board Member Castro.
Thank you. Can you all hear me okay? Great. First, I want to say congratulations to the team on getting to this meeting after all of your extensive work. When you ask for it, requesting proposals and vetting those different curriculums. So congratulations on getting here. I'm super excited that we're going to be putting the same type of energy and focus into math learning as we have been around literacy. I think it's really needed, and I think it's really exciting. I was also really gratified to hear you talk about maintaining the number of minutes of math instruction that students will have. I'm looking forward to learning more about, when we look at our curriculum across the board, how this learning fits into an excellent experience for students K through 8. I was gratified to hear you talk about the way that there are texts and videos that sort of extend math learning beyond just the math instructional minutes. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say congratulations, and I'm really looking forward to voting for this and for getting these materials to teachers first and then to students. So thank you so much.
Board Member Castro.
Thank you. My questions are, one, can you talk about how this curriculum incorporates project-based learning and experiential learning?
Yes, so the real world context, I think, that hold a unit together. It's something that students are engaging with at the beginning of the unit. They're coming back to as they're developing concepts and learning at the middle of the unit, and then again at the end of the unit. Each unit also offers a performance task for students to then extend the learning to a new, and apply it in new ways.
Got it. Thank you. And then can you talk about how, based on school and district-wide, the various math departments and schools and district-wide will have to, or how you envision them collaborating together to break down those concerns of silos and to have different opportunities to problem solve implementation problems?
Yeah, I think collaboration is going to be really key at every single level as we implement the new instructional resource. We are bringing together instructional coaches, K-8, to think about what have middle schools already done, what are the conditions that they've set for a successful launch so that elementary can learn from what middle school has already done. As we think about professional learning and role alike, it's opportunities for teachers to come together across schools and do some collaborative planning and unpacking of units and lessons to think about how to best support our students.
Got it. Thank you. Thanks, Chair. And thank you, Board Member Muldrow.
All right, thanks. Vice President Pearson?
Yeah, thank you. This is it's very interesting time to be in as we're adopting new curricula all the time. Well, not all the time, but just in the past since I've been on the board. My question is about middle schools. And so typically what we see in middle school is that's where we see the students who are going to either take like algebra or geometry, to Ali's point earlier, to set themselves up for high school, for going further on trig and then calculus and so forth. And what I'm hearing is that we're going to be using instructional coaches to kind of help with the breakdown of silos and such. How many instructional coaches do we just have right now district wide? I haven't checked that number yet. And when I'm thinking about middle schools, I was in a couple middle schools this past couple weeks as folks were getting their allocation booklets and such, or what they could have allocated. And some of the middle schools are having to now take their instructional coach who is really working on like literacy and trying to figure out how then to help supplement some of the math pieces. And so I'm thinking of like, if we want to make sure for middle schools that this is implemented well, one, I would just wanted to ask about just instructional coaches, how many we have. And are there other investments that are going to be needed outside of just this curriculum where we may need to have more instructional coaches to help support this, because it is a large lift. And I think it's very important that we get our kids and our data up, especially amongst our most marginalized students.
So for middle school specifically, each of our middle schools has a full-time instructional coach. And while the focus has been on literacy, I will say that our middle school coaches have also done a lot of work supporting our math teachers, knowing that teachers in middle school generally teach literacy or biliteracy and social studies. And then we have a set of teachers that teach math and science. Those are sort of the traditional pairings, and it doesn't always fall exactly that way. But our instructional coaches are supporting both literacy and math at the middle school level.
Thank you for that. I guess my last question about that, or maybe just a comment, probably more so, is just I really hope that that we're able to ensure that there's enough support around our instructional coaches, because like I said, being in some of the middle schools, more specifically talking about some of the challenges that they're having, that was something that folks have expressed that is challenging, especially if you're in a school that have really high needs in other areas. And we want to make sure that, you know, our young people are learning math and being proficient in reading as well, and both of them. But we also want to make sure that the folks that are helping develop and support our staff and our teachers, that they are also supported. And so my hope is that, you know, we might have one instructional coach to split that time between literacy and math. Is a lot to ask of someone, especially if they are in a place where there are like other needs and other supports that are needed for their classroom. So my hope is that we invest where we need to, and that y'all come back to us and let us know if we need to make further investments. So thank you.
All right, I have one quick question. And thank you all, board members. So you've already spoken to this a little bit, but I just want to make sure I'm tracking the multi-year component that's in the consent memo. Once we get into fiscal year 28, So not fiscal year 27, where it looks like it's the, that first focus on middle schools. I can see there's a split a split purchasing for K-5 and 6 through 8, and that continues for multiple years. And I did hear you say that that will include like the manipulatives, the consumable materials for our students, and the professional learning. Is that in the purchase cost? I think I got confused about the professional learning specialist that you were saying will help support implementation, but I wasn't sure, is there some annual professional learning across the years that is in this cost?
Yeah, so at this point, we've committed to professional learning this spring. So that's the $39,000. With the purchase, the 6-year commitment for teacher materials and consumables K-8, they've included at no cost a professional development specialist that will work with our central office team to support year 1 implementation with middle and then year 1 implementation with elementary. We will have additional professional development needs as we move into next year and beyond. We're really excited to see what IM has to offer in terms of professional learning. Because it is used nationwide, there are other vendors that we could also partner with. So the Math Institute of Wisconsin, Unbound Ed, Better Lesson are also IM certified. And so we have some options to explore.
Great. Thanks so much for clarifying that. As a follow-up for central office, and thank you for highlighting earlier, like how you're envisioning the use of instructional coaches. I am wondering, I recall in the past within central office, within curriculum and instruction, there were also math, like teacher leaders, who were helping to develop, I don't know, scopes or things in the past. I'm assuming when we purchase a curriculum like this and we kind of commit to it over multiple years, we're, as a central office, I guess I'm wondering kind of what will be the approach to also support from central office, or is that more relying on the vendor or the company that we're purchasing from?
Yeah, it will be a combination of both, right? Both a vendor-led, but we do have an elementary teacher leader for math and a middle school teacher leader for math. They work very closely with our instructional coaches. In some cases, are supporting teams in schools. And so that work will continue to happen.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm sure they will. Well, I just want to say, those were all of my questions. I just wanted to say thank you for the hard work. There were a lot of respondents to this request for proposal. And so I appreciate just the collaboration of all of the folks who came together, brought their expertise and their lived experiences to really go through each of the vendors who responded. And I appreciate just the thoughtfulness of the recommendation to go forward with this curriculum. So many, many thanks. All right, looks like we have gone through all of our discussion and questions. So I'm going to go back to our motion that was to approve this expenditure. Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. Sabian, was your hand up?
Yeah, aye.
Thank you. Okay, that looks like it is unanimous. So that passes. Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to move us forward to the action items that proceeded through the operations work group. They're all policy related. The first policy being on driver responsibilities. I move that the Board of Education approve new policy titled Driver Responsibility in accordance with the documents prepared for the February 23rd, 2026 regular meeting. The policy will be revised effective immediately.
Second, Maya.
All right, any questions or comments on this policy? All right, seeing none. Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, perfect. That passed unanimously. Moving on to our next policy. All right, this is policy 4113, administering medication. I'll read the motion. I move that the Board of Education approve policy 4113, administering medication. In accordance with the documents prepared for the February 23rd, 2026 regular meeting, the policy will be revised effective immediately.
Second, Maya.
All right, any comments or questions on this one? Board Member Saravo.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Nichols. President Nichols. I want to thank everybody for taking a lot of time to work on this, especially during our work groups. I have 7 motions to bring forward to amend the policy that I would like to make, because I've spoken with everybody prior to today to get a full, to make sure we had a lot of conversations before coming here today in order to use everyone's time effectively and all the work that's been put into this. So it's in hopes of making this process move through quickly and to go through these amendments as effectively with all board members. Yeah, I just want to be respectful of everyone's time, but to make sure that we're doing this, I would like to bring these up so that I feel that we're doing our due diligence for this policy.
Okay, so Board Member Saravo?
Yeah.
Thank you for those opening remarks.
Yeah.
Do you want to move forward with the first
Yes.
amendment?
For motion 1, I move to amend the proposed policy on page 2, item 4, under the heading self-carry prescription drug products, and on page 5 under the heading student possession of medication by striking the word contract and replacing it with agreement.
Second, Nikki with comment.
Okay, thank you. It's been seconded. And Board Member Vandermeulen, comments?
Yes, I'm glad to see this and I believe Blair has also agreed earlier that kids under 18 can't do contracts. So agreement just works better.
Okay, so as I understand it, the main point of this is the word contract versus agreement. Okay. Any other comments on this one? Okay.
We're voting on each part, I think.
Yep, we'll vote on each amendment. Okay. Seeing no other questions or comments, I will call, I do have one clarifying question, if you don't mind. Legally, is there anybody from administration who can say if there's a consequence for replacing the word contract versus agreement?
I believe Petra is online,
Okay,
and also Dr. Esther is here as well to support.
Petra, do you want to start and I can jump in?
Yeah, that'd be great. So it's legal's opinion that replacing contract with agreement will not have an impact and that the two are legally synonymous. We use the word contract throughout other board policies, so it would be inconsistent with those other policies. However, if adopted, this would not create a substantive operational issue. It would just be a different word being used for the same concept.
great. That answers my question. All right.
Just a real quick question. The contract is specific with the nursing staff and the parent, correct?
It's really a contract between the student and their parent
Mhm.
that lives within the health office.
But as long as their parent signs it,
Correct.
it is, okay. I just was asking, just,
Over-the-counter medications.
yep,
prescription.
Yep, thank you. I just wanted just to clarify that point of the 18-year-old, under 18-year-old.
All right, I don't see any other questions or comments. Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and those opposed? All right, passes 6-1. Thank you.
All right, second, I move to amend the proposed policy on page 4 and item 10 under the heading procedure by adding the sentence, a medication administration error or medication incident shall be treated as a student health and safety event requiring prompt assessment, documentation, and guardian communication.
Second, Nikki Vandermeulen.
All right, any questions or comments on this one? Yes, Board Member Vandermeulen?
Yes, I think that this is a necessity. I know that certain things are done internally, but I think that this is for parents in this day and age. I think to be able to just have written communication is an absolute necessity, and it is a health event, and I think that it needs to be addressed as such, and that's why I really like this language, but I am free for discussion on that.
Okay, hold on. Thank you for that. Hold on a moment. So Board Member Saravo, I just want to make sure I'm following. You're saying in the policy where right now it talks about a medication administration error or medication incident, that the words be inserted around shall be treated as a student health and safety event requiring prompt assessment, documentation, and guardian communication. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so I'm going to ask the same question that I kind of asked for the other amendment. Legally, is there any operational implication for inserting those words?
Petra, do you want to start and then I'll jump in?
I think actually it might make more sense if you go first.
Perfect.
I don't know if I'll need to say anything then after.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so for motion 2, but this is also applicable in respect to motions 3 and 4 as well, is that, sorry, I lost my notes here. I actually saw Shayna and got totally distracted. Hi. So for 2, 3, and 4, I want to just calibrate and remind the board how incredibly talented and professional and trained our staff is. So we have a health services director who's a healthcare executive, and we have nurse practitioners who are highly, highly trained, school nurses with advanced pediatric and school-based care experience. And they've done this work and they're doing this work. And I want to also underscore that they're accountable not just to our district to have a solid and strong policy, but also to the state of Wisconsin and their respective licensing boards. So I just want to really reinforce that I feel that this is a very sound policy, and our rationale for not recommending motions 2, 3, or 4 is because they are already happening. When there's a medication issue right now, we do a few things. 1, the student is monitored. 2, the family is contacted. 3, the incident is documented. And 4, all incidents are reviewed by our district health services team. They work to determine whether or not it was a health and safety event. The current policy sets expectations for safety and oversight, and these amendments would change the policy from a setting of expectations to a step-by-step procedure that would not apply in various situations. I want to be also transparent that a med error or a med issue is not always a health or safety issue. If a student, a nurse drops a pill on the ground, that is documented as a med error. That is documented. It's communicated with the parents so they can reconcile their medications. It is documented in a student's health record. They came to the health office for that medication. If there were any need, a provider would be consulted, et cetera. And so very clearly, not all medication incidents are health and safety incidents. They are not analogous to one another.
Thank you for that. Board Member Vandermeulen.
Yes, this amendment, which I happen to agree with, doesn't I think we have one of the best nursing staffs there is. That's not what this is saying. This is just codifying everything we're already doing. So that way, I've found over the years that when we have something codified and we have it in there, it provides consistency. It protects our nurses from things in the future by saying, here, we can show you what the policy does. Not this is an internal practice. We can actually show it. As for the medication error, I understand on the pills, and I get that on dropping a pill, but as someone who's on a controlled substance, Ritalin, I get a certain number of pills a month. I don't get more if one is dropped. That means possibly a less dosage because they don't give more. It's a controlled substance. Therefore, that is a serious issue. So those are my comments on that.
I believe I saw Board Member Mosner Felton, was your hand up? And I thought I saw.
I can hold for just another moment.
Okay. Board Member Saravo.
These motions are not just about the procedures and things that are going on in the building. It's actually to make sure that parents have notifications around what happens at school, especially when it comes to their medication and the administration of them. This is not to say that anybody is not doing their job or that anybody is doing it incorrectly. It's actually in response to make sure that guardians and parents are getting information in a prompt manner when things like this happen. And also I acknowledge that there are different varying levels of what does medication error look like. And this actually just makes it explicitly so from the top down. There are other districts that actually do things like this that are a little bit more explicit from the top down. I don't think it's a problem that we are also making sure that we are doing the same in the way that is being proposed today.
If I may, I want us to keep in mind that there is always a phone call. There's always a phone call. That allows the parent to work with their provider or the nurse to work with the provider to reconcile exactly what Nikki is speaking of. So all of those things are reported to families. The level at which there is follow-up documentation or the treatment of it as a safety event depends on the incident and the assessment of the health services leadership team.
Can I respond, Chair?
Yes.
The phone call is definitely explicit and does happen. The goal is to also make sure it is also as explicit and it happens that the parent has something in writing, because there are often times when there is a more serious medical, medication administration event that would be an error that would land to the degree of an observation or something like that occurring. It's very hard for people to actually maintain what occurred on that day. And it's just to make sure that we're being clear about that. We're giving parents access to that information because they will be able to go to their provider and give them that information instead of having to do a records request. And this way, it's just being done in a timely manner where everyone who was involved in the incident can put it down there for them, because parents deserve access to that type of incident.
And I think
Okay.
timely is in the next. I want to make
Yeah.
sure we're talking about the definition of a safety event.
Yes, I wanna bring us back to motion number 2, which is specifically about how a medication administration error or medication incident shall be treated as a student health and safety event requiring prompt assessment, documentation, and guardian communication. So those are like the key inserted words that I hear that you're bringing up. And thank you, Dr. Esser, for providing an administrative response to that. I'm going to move to Board Member Mosner Feltham and then Vice President Pearson to see if there's anything else we can get from this on this motion.
I move to call the question.
Okay, so in order to call the question, we need a 2/3 vote. So I can ask that. Calling the question is basically asking to end discussion and debate. So 2/3 vote of 7 is 5. All those in favor of ending debate? Specifically on motion 2. Yep. All right, let me just see by hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, everybody's in favor of ending debate. All right, so we can go ahead and call the vote on the motion. Sorry, Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor on the second motion? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that was 4. 5. Okay, sorry about that. All right, and then all those opposed? All right, that passes 4.
5-2.
5-2. Thank y'all for the math help. All right, let's move on.
All the times.
All right, thank you, Board Member Saraba, to the next motion.
I move to amend the proposed policy on page 4 and item 10 under the heading procedure by striking all words from notified to calendar day and adding the words immediate parent notification. In the event of a drug product administration error or medication incident, the parent/guardian shall be notified by telephone as soon as reasonably possible on the same day the error or incident is discovered. If the error or incident is discovered after the end of the regularly scheduled instruction or on a non-school day, telephone notifications shall occur within 24 hours. Telephone notification time, method, and person contacted shall be documented.
Second, Nikki Vandermeulen with comment.
Board Member Vandermeulen, thank you.
Yes, the reason I am for this very much is when I helped write the seclusion and restraint policies many years ago, I helped write the first draft of seclusion and restraint that later became law in 2020. And one of the big things was that you had to tell the parent the day of because it is that serious a situation. In my opinion, when there are certain things like this, time is of the essence. And sometimes methods don't get there. Sometimes phone calls get missed. Sometimes I've had clients who are deaf who don't always have a person who could hear to translate it. I've had other parents who may not speak the same language. So sometimes we have those issues, and so we need to document it the best way we can as fast as we can as possible, and that's why. Those are my comments.
No, it's okay. All right, I don't see any other hands raised. I'll ask the same question I've asked for each motion. Legally, are there implications about this added language being added in terms of how it would be operationalized?
I want to just note that the proposed language is actually a bit less stringent than what is already in the current draft. So existing policy requires notification by 5 p.m. on the same day if it's reported during the school day or by noon the next calendar day. So the amendment with as soon as possible and within 24 hours from our legal team's perspective actually weakens the clarity of the timeline. Additionally, we have concerns about the amendment requiring notification specifically by telephone. The current language allows us flexibility in how parents are notified, obviously within our obligations of HIPAA, FERPA, and medical documentation, of course. But this flexibility is really critical. Some families require communication through interpreters. Some need alternative methods. Some have specific times of day that they are only available when that phone calls happen. So from our perspective, we already require parent notification and that this timeline would not have substantive negative changes, but we do think that prescribing telephone could have negative impact for how we collaborate with our families as well, and the additional burden, not burden, but additional layers of of work that that brings for our school health offices and the complexities of the work that they do on a daily basis and the timing of how things all fit together.
And I just want to add one other piece. The other rationale for that wording is because of we're with Act 57. This is directly related to that language. So schools will already have this same timeline. So you don't have two different timelines of when parents have to be notified. Because under Act 57, we must notify them either by 5 p.m. if we are made aware of a situation that day. And if we're notified after instructional, then we have to 12 noon. So this would align so that all notifications will be in line at the school.
All right, any other, okay, Board Member Mosner Feltham. Did you bring your hand up? Okay,
I did. I'm good though.
all right. Any other questions or comments for clarification?
I'm comfortable calling the question.
Yep. Okay, so again, are you calling the question?
I don't think we have to.
Okay, all right. Why don't we move into voting since I don't see any other hands up? Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Is that a 1, 2? Okay, all those opposed? Okay, that one fails 2-5. All right, Board Member Saravo?
I move to amend the proposed policy on page 4 and item 10 to the heading procedure by striking all words from a written incident report to further investigation and adding the words written incident report. A written medication incident report explaining the error incident shall be completed within 1 school day by the school nurse or MSTR director's designee and any employee involved, if applicable. The report shall include at minimum a student name, date, and time of the incident, medication involved, prescribed dose, and administered dose if applicable, a description of the error or incident, symptoms observed, actions taken, including medical consultation if applicable, time and method of parent notification. The report shall be submitted to the Director of Health Services or MSDR Director for review and to determine whether procedural changes, additional training, or safety improvements are warranted.
Second.
I meant to say second. I thought I did. I'm sorry. My brain is like second, Nikki Vandermeulen, also second Blair.
Okay.
Sorry, brain.
We'll go with you, Board Member Vandermeulen, for the second. All right, any clarifying questions or comments? I'm going to ask the same question, Board Member Saravo, just respectfully. Legally, is there anything that, are there legal with the added language here around the operationalizing around the written incident reports?
Petra, you want to start this one off?
Yeah, so legal services has some concerns with this proposed revision, and we highly recommend keeping the language as currently proposed. There's several reasons for that. One reason is the 1 school day timeline requirement, where the written incident report would need to be provided within 1 school day. This is just too rigid, and we fear that it would not account for a range of circumstances that might require additional clarification, follow-up, and consultation if we are prematurely sending out written reports that could confuse families, guardians, parents. It could lead to false facts. And we think that it would actually expose the district to risk by requiring the 1 day timeline. We feel that the very specific list of items that must be included in the report are also too rigid. And we would recommend permitting this to live in procedure, which would be at the discretion of our licensed healthcare staff and not be dictated to staff and policy as it belongs in procedure. And that would be legal services comments on this.
Thank you. I see Board Member Mosner Feltham's hand up. Okay, I'll go with her and then come back to you,
That's great.
Board Member Vandermeulen. All right, Board Member Mosner Feltham.
Thank you. Attorney Welk, I just want to clarify, motion 5's 1 day, 1 school day is for the internal report, not for the family notification. Is that, do your concerns still stand with that clarification? Yeah,
Yeah, and thank you
Okay.
for clarifying. Yep, they still stand.
thank you.
Wait, just to clarify, Board Member Mosner Feltham, we're on motion 4, but
Yep.
you went ahead and asked about motion 5.
So the reason I was just clarifying is because the commentary from council was about the 1 school day timeline in motion 4. And I thought that she had said something about confusing parents or guardians. And so I wanted to clarify that 1 school day proposed adjustment was just about the internal incident report, not about parent communication.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, Board Member Vandermeulen.
Yes, I think this provides legal clarity. I am not obviously healthcare attorney. I am an attorney though, and I believe it provides clarity of what the district has to do. It is not ordering and saying what the procedure is. It is saying the requirements, just like in standing we have in law, you could go above the floor. You can't go above the floor or below, above the ceiling or below the floor, meaning you can't have something stricter or less strict, but you can have something in the middle. In this case, we're making it in the middle. We're making it so that there are certain implications that we have to do that the district has, but we're not saying how. We're saying these are the things that must be in there when you notify that individual. That's my argument on that. My other issue, and here's my other thing on that, is we do this in other things with seclusion and restraint. We do this with other procedures. We do this with Act 57 already. We do this on other things on a daily basis. There's no reason we can't do it with this. Those are my 2 arguments.
Thank you. Board Member Saravo.
What I'm hearing is that the 1 school day is potentially the point of adherence that legal doesn't.
I heard it as it's the 1 school day and then the bulleted list of items that the motion right now says must be. The report shall include
At minimum.
a number of items.
I would be highly surprised if we were doing less than that.
I'm sorry.
I would be highly surprised if we were doing anything less than that. Those are just the minimum things that should be in there anyways. This is just being explicit about it, about what the Director of Health Services is going to be receiving on their end at bare minimum of what's going to be in the report. And just making sure that it specifies documentation in a manner of which the people who are involved with it are not too far out from the actual incident or to be able to document it. Documentation happens all the time. And from what I remember from our past conversations, there's not many of them that occur. So I can't imagine this would be over something.
Thank you. I see Board Member Mosner Feltham. And then, yeah.
I move to call the question.
Actually, I have.
Okay, we've had a motion to end debate. This needs a 2/3 vote on this motion. So all those in favor of ending debate, signify aye. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, is that 5 or 6 of us? I think that's 6.
No, I'm not raising my, had to get this 1 point in.
I've got I.
Wait, you're not aye?
No, I am I.
Yes, okay, there's 6 of us that, sorry, we're doing our best to work the virtual and in-person space. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and call the question on this motion, which is motion 4, okay? So Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote.
Aye.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 1, 2, 3. Checking the screen. All right, 3. Okay, those opposed? Nay. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So this one does not pass, or this one fails. 3, 4.
May I just say something really quick, Chair?
Okay,
I understand and I respect that. My statement just wants to state that DPI already has that requirement in there, so I just wanted legal to be aware of that. One of the school nurses at that meeting.
thank you, Board Member Vandermeulen. And let me just say before we go into the next motion, we all know that Board Member Saravo has put a lot of thought, a lot of work into this. And this is, the votes don't always need to reflect that we don't respect the work that was put in. I think for me personally, I want to make sure that for myself as a board member, I'm voting on policy, not necessarily getting into the details of the procedures and how the staff have to implement. And I'm also trusting that a lot of the staff are, to your point, Board Member Vanderbilt, probably doing a lot of this. It's just not written maybe the way that Board Member Saravo is suggesting. So it's okay. We can be in disagreement on that, but I just want to just state that we should just keep moving through the motions, and there's a lot of respect for the work.
Bring out the policy that was there.
All right. Ready? You want to go to motion 5?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I move to amend the proposed policy on page 5 in item 10 under the heading procedure by adding the words written summary to parent guardian. In addition to the same day telephone notification, a written summary of the incident shall be provided to the parent/guardian within 48 hours of telephone notification of the discovery of the error or incident. The written summary shall include a factual description of the incident, observed student response, actions taken by school personnel, recommended follow-up, if any, contact information for further questions, and information on how to request records related to the incident.
Second, Nikki Vandermeer.
All right. Thank you, Board Member Vandermeulen. All right. Any questions or clarifying questions? And your hand is still up. Are you up? Okay. All right. I don't see any. I'm going to ask the same question I've asked on each motion. Is there some objection or something of concern around the additional language being added in terms of the implications to operate?
Yes, and I'm just started, but Petra, I might need you on this one. We are not recommending adopting motion 5. It would move us from a clinically reviewed process and a communication model to a very fixed written summary requirement in every case. And we cannot do that as it goes against our release of information legal requirements and would create a blanket, would create something that is in direct conflict with another obligation we have legally. Petra, I didn't do that justice, so if you want to elaborate, please feel free.
I know that our nursing staff are quite concerned about release of records as it pertains to healthcare records, and sometimes distinguishing between pupil records and healthcare records is not always cut and dry. So the requirement about requesting records is problematic. And then I don't know if you were going to discuss it, Leah, but I would just lift now to make sure I don't forget. The language about the same day telephone notification would be in conflict with the language in 10 about notifying by 5 p.m. on the day if the report was received before the end of scheduled instruction or by noon of the next day. And I can pause there.
I would just add that if we were to add this, we would be communicating formal information when an investigation or our review process is still very much underway and evolving. And I also would add to that finally that I lost my note of this. Hang on one second. Just the consequences could, in addition to evolving information, creating confusion for families. We also need to create an environment and maintain that environment where our school health professionals know that it's safe, that it's their obligation to report a mistake, and that it's an objective process that we review collaboratively in order to make the best decision for the student and for the healthcare, the approach to their healthcare. So in situations where there is an egregious act of medication administration errors, we would certainly be addressing that expeditiously and putting the protective measures in place. But we really want to make sure that we're careful to create systems and have ways of being that make it most accessible for our health professionals to report mistakes when mistakes are made without a level of expectation of potential discipline. So I want to just make sure that we're thinking more generally about our overall process and the openness of that, so that it does not feel like a punitive measure when someone makes a mistake, but rather a learning opportunity or a chance for reteaching.
Okay, can I just
Yeah, so I
clarify?
probably should, yeah.
So the main objections are similar to some of the other motions. It's about the time frame. And what I hear you saying is also is there something about the written summary that you said might violate?
Yeah, it's more of, it's about making sure that we have the comprehensive facts documented before we're making any decisions. So we want our health office teams to be able to engage in that collective dialogue and an after action figure out what happened. That often takes a significant amount of time. And what I was trying to just reinforce is that we would not leave a practitioner in a school or a student in an unsafe situation after that 48-hour period, right? We may still be needing to look at the situation in depth, talk to providers, interview folks, et cetera. But we will, we just can't, that 48-hour, being bound by 48 hours is an issue. And then being bound by providing that to the families is in conflict with the release of information and healthcare record.
Actually, it is by federal law. That's
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
I play a lawyer.
Okay, Board
not
Member
a-
Vandermeulen,
with them.
do you have a comment or? a
directly related, yeah.
Okay.
45 US, 45 CFR 164.512 B16 states, the HIPAA privacy rule allows covered healthcare providers to disclose private health information about students to school nurses, physicians, or other healthcare providers for treatment purposes. Additionally, it also allows the info to go out.
Okay.
So it's not a privilege.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Vandermeer. Board Member Saravo.
You can go first because I'm asking to call the question.
Oh. I just wanted to point out that anything of the expectation for a parent written summary is to just get in documentation what will be already part of the phone call, and making sure that the parent has access to it in its general description of what happened, so that they can take that to the provider. I realize that there's plenty of stuff that's happening in the background in order to make sure that everything is done in the thoroughness that you were describing. But this will take it away from the internal report and actually have one that's more clear for the parent to have more immediately after the event, should they need to do more things for their healthcare professional, and that they can actually have something to go back to that is in writing.
Just to add quickly, I do want to just reinforce that we, all providers, and it is their legal requirement to have that release of information. So that is our practice that the health team wants me to make sure to clarify.
If I can respond, the reason that the information on how to request records related to the incident is actually in there because of ROIs that are involved. And that parents, if they do want to look further into the incident later on down the road when there is more documentation, that is the reason to provide them with the correct way and how to access that information down the road, should they need to look into it.
Petra, when she mentioned the fact that the language in motion 5 references a same-day telephone notification, which you voted down previously. I wasn't sure if that was heard when she said.
Thought it was. But I could be wrong.
I didn't hear the question. What I'm saying that if you would need to then amend the amended motion. So my suggestion to you is to address motion 5, and if there is a motion, for example, 5.A, you could certainly do that in order to remove the reference to the same day telephone notification. But if you adopt motion 5, with the way that it's drafted right now, it will then be inconsistent with what is in paragraph 10 now, which doesn't include a same day telephone notification.
So you were suggesting that we create a 5A.
I'm not suggesting that you create a 5A. I'm just suggesting that would be one way to address it if you vote down motion 5.
Okay, Board Member Muldrow.
I am asking to call the question, and I want to say I have a lot of respect for the level of like research and intentionality that's gone into this, but we have had a lot of conversation at this point, and so I do think it's okay to vote. That being said, Student Representative Lee, I don't want to stop you from asking any questions that may inform your vote. So if you have anything you would like to ask, I know you don't get to vote on whether or not we call the question. Is there anything you want to talk about? Okay, then I'd like us to vote on calling the question.
All right, there's a motion to go ahead and stop debate. All those in favor of ending debate? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Blair, was your hand up? No? Okay. Opposed? Okay, so that 6-1 to end debate. I'm gonna go ahead and call the question, call the vote on this motion as it is currently written. All those in favor of approving this motion, sorry, Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote.
Nay.
Okay, all those in favor, aye. All right, those opposed, nay. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Was that 4 of us? 1, 5. Okay, and then abstain. All right, 1.
I'd like to enter 5A then.
Okay, that's, I think, well, that failed, but was that a 5-0-1, or did somebody not vote? Okay. Okay,
I'd like to amend and introduce motion 5A 5.1.
Can I respond to that?
yes, Board Member Muldrow.
Board Member Ellen, do you want to take some time to draft what that would look like, or strike the language specifically?
Just strike the phone call language.
And allow Board Member Saravo to fit her amendments?
I just thought it would be easier and less confusing, which is why I did it that way, because since we're on 5, then we wouldn't go back. I thought it would be more confusing, but if you want to do it the other way, we can do that too. It's whichever the board chooses.
I would appreciate it if we were able to address the things that we are all aware of, and then if something's going to be.
Okay, then go ahead. I apologize. I was just trying to figure out how to do it clearly.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Motion 7, then we come back.
Moving on.
Are we moving on right now to motion 6?
That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
I move to amend the proposed policy on page 5, third paragraph, under the heading Student Possession of Medication, by striking students grade 6 and above may possess and self-administer non-prescription medications at school, including but not limited to acetaminophen, ibuprofen, lactase enzymes, and Tums. Parents/guardians will be required to give permission and agree that their students will adhere to self-administration guidelines, and replacing it with a self-administration of non-prescription medication, including but not limited to acetaminophen, ibuprofen, lactase enzymes, and Tums, shall be permitted for students grade 6 and above who demonstrate the ability to safely and independently manage the medication. Readiness shall be determined by the authorization of parents/guardians and the approval of school health personnel.
Second, Nikki.
All right, any questions or clarification? You already know the question I'm gonna ask. From a legal perspective, is there anything that we need to know that for implications for adding the new language in terms of either legally or operationally?
We do not recommend adopting this amendment because it may create confusion, or does create confusion how self-administration works in practice. So if a student is prescribed an antibiotic, that medicine is administered under a formal medical authorization process with clear medical orders and nurse oversight. So it's very different from a middle school student carrying their antibiotic or their Ritalin versus their ibuprofen. The current policy allows students in grades 6 and above to self-carry certain non-prescription medications with authorization from their parents and clear guidelines. This function as a written agreement between the parent and the student with that documentation in the health office. Parents essentially are granting permission. Students agree to follow the rules for safe and appropriate use. The grade level distinction aligns with other age differentiated policies such as the behavior education plan, but ultimately this is an agreement between the caregiver and their child and a determination at home and with the family as to whether the student is ready to manage their medication responsibly. The proposed amendment shifts language to require a formal readiness determination and approval by school health. So in practical terms, that could require additional review steps for routine medications like ibuprofen without having any substantive safety improvements or changes. And just I'll also underscore when we think about self-administration and potential for self-harm or suicidal ideation, et cetera, we have other system structures and procedures in place that would take these sort of things into consideration. For example, in a safety plan, we may say for a student who has attempted suicide that they are not self-carrying medication. So there's other systems, processes, and safeguards in place that allow us to have those conversations. But ultimately, this is an agreement between parent and their child, and the parent makes that determination, the caregiver makes that determination, and we simply know that it's there in case of an emergency or if something were to happen.
Right, Board Member Muldrow.
I really appreciate your remarks, Dr. Esser. I think I can be supportive of this amendment in part because I don't think it's particularly controversial to acknowledge that a child's developmental capacity is an inference in many policies, right? So we may say a young person is able to drive at the age of 16, but there are a variety of factors that may contribute, including a parent's preferences, right? Or perspective related to that. I think talking about developmental appropriateness in rather than age is really, really relevant to specific populations of young people. And I actually hope we do it more in terms of how we talk about meeting the needs of our students in ways that are specifically developmentally appropriate. I'll be voting in favor of this motion. I appreciate the work that went into it.
Thank you. Any other Board Member
Call the
Vanderlyn?
question.
Okay, we have a motion to end debate.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but legal services would like to respond if it's possible to lift something that maybe wasn't considered by the board.
I would oppose. The question has been called, and we haven't ruled on the motion on the floor. I would oppose. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we haven't voted on calling the question, so we're gonna call that. All right, all those in favor of ending debate on this amendment? Okay, I think that's 6 opposed. Oh, it was 5-2?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Board Member Castro, was your hand up? I know that we just said we were gonna end debate, but I don't know if I caught you.
I wanted to hear the additional legal service comment, but it is what it is.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and vote on this amendment. Student Representative Lee, your advisory.
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, I see 4. Oh, 5. Okay. Those opposed? 1, and I am gonna abstain. All right, so that was 5-1-1, right? Okay. Passes. All right. All right, we're at amendments, motion 7.
I move to amend the proposed policy on page 6 and onto page 7 under the heading opioid antagonistic plan by striking the district's guidelines shall provide for acquisition and maintenance of opioid antagonists for use in the event of an authorized employee observes an apparent overdose. The district's plans for administration of an opioid antagonist shall be posted on the district's website, and adding, the board intends to adopt and maintain a plan for managing suspected opioid overdoses so as to permit each school to obtain a school supply of nasal opioid antagonist delivery systems and to permit each school nurse and designated school personnel to administer them. Accordingly, the board directs the Health Services Department in consultation with the district medical advisor and the Health Services Director to develop a plan that meets the following. 1, identifies which school personnel have agreed to receive training and will be authorized to perform the functions of the plan. 2, specifies the specific training program that will be implemented to prepare at each school nurse and designated school personnel to identify the signs of an overdose and to provide or administer a nasal opioid antagonistic accordingly. 3, delineates the permissible scope of usage to include providing district-provided a nasal opioid antagonist in the event of a student is believed in good faith to be experiencing an opioid overdose, provided that the staff member immediately contacts emergency medical services. 4, identifies the number and type of nasal opioid antagonist delivery system each school will keep on site and identifies a member of the nursing staff or other school official who will be responsible for maintaining the nasal opioid antagonist supply. 5, is approved by a physician and advanced practice nurse prescriber or a physician assistant licensed in the state of Wisconsin. 6, notes that the school and any school nurse or designated school personnel that provide or administer a nasal opioid antagonist under this plan are immune from civil liability from any harm that may result, regardless of whether there is a parental or medical provider authorization, unless the administration was a result of gross negligence or willful or wanton misconduct. And 7, is published on the district's website.
Second, Nikki Vandermoon.
Any questions or comments?
Understood. I've done it with the cough drop.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the same question. Legally, are there anything that we should understand about the added language to the opioid antagonist plan? I apologize if there's mispronunciation.
I just want to be really clear. that having access to naloxone, Narcan, or other anti-antagonists. See, Michelle, I'm with you. Thank goodness for our healthcare professionals. That those things are absolutely critical and frankly very personal to me. And so I want to just name in this space how much I respect the conversation around this opioid use and Narcan in our schools. We're not recommending this policy, and we're instead suggesting that we revisit this topic with the board so we can provide you with information about all of our current practices related to naloxone, where it's located, who is trained, how and when it can be used, all of those pieces of information before the board made a decision policy. Petra would be able to speak to this more concretely, but in my estimation, this amendment may actually make it harder or restrict our ability to nimbly and thoughtfully provide access to naloxone in our schools. The other thing I just want to name is that the language that was provided or suggested is language that mirrors our epinephrine and short-acting bronchodilators, which are required under state law. And there's not a comparable requirement for the opioid antagonist plan. So we're not opposing this conversation by any stretch, but we are suggesting that we have that conversation first and revisit any policy changes as a result of that conversation.
Thank you. I do see Vice President Pearson. I can't remember now if I saw another hand.
You saw my.
Oh, Board Member Vandermeulen and then Board Member Muldrow.
So
Does anyone opposed to that? If Board Member Muldrow asks a direct follow-up right now? Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Ellie, I can't hear you.
My apologies. My appreciation for your enthusiasm for this life-saving intervention. I am curious, if we were to vote this evening, how our vote would, if we were to vote in favor of this amendment, how would our vote inform a future conversation about intervention for opioid overdose?
I can answer this, but just give me 1 second so I'm precise. I don't know that, and Petra, please jump in, and Sarah Brion is also on the Zoom, so I may have her jump in if I can't do justice to this question. I think generally speaking, the consequences would be more of a tightening of the rules without sort of exploring the overall context. So for example, would we be inadvertently committing to saying that only health office staff can provide naloxone?
I actually thought that might be a little bit of the precaution around this. And my understanding is there's nothing in the amendment that restricts who can have Narcan. There's students who carry Narcan. There are parents who keep Narcan in their purse. So I do respect that, like, were this to be more rigid and exclusive to specific personnel, that could have really dangerous implications, but I'm not hearing that. So I think my question in relationship to our ability to review our current practices is really, I welcome that conversation. I'd be happy to engage in that conversation. I wonder if part of that conversation, were we to vote in favor of this amendment tonight, could be how this amendment impacted our current practices.
Yes, and I would say that our team is really proud of the cutting edge work that we're doing, and we would love to inform the board about what is currently in place before we think about adjustments. But I don't necessarily have, from my perspective, something substantive that I can point to but I do want Petra to jump in from legal services standpoint to see if there are unintended consequences that might tighten our ability as opposed to open our ability to provide that life save.
I think that's so important. Thank you.
Yes. Petra, anything to?
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Sorry.
I really wouldn't feel comfortable speaking to this amendment. I would defer to health services staff. We have not had a fulsome conversation about this amendment, and I am not prepared to speak to it.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna now go back to Vice President Pearson and then
And-
Board Member Vander, okay, and then Board Member Saravo.
Yeah, thank you. Leah, you can, Dr. Esser, you can stay up. My question is just the time frame. So if we were to vote this down so that we can give you all enough time to bring back all the work that you're doing and possibly make further adjustments if there are other life-saving things that we need to add to this, when will you all be able to come back to us with that information to make those adjustments?
Respectfully, I would love for us to move the policy forward this evening if possible, and recognizing that that amendment may serve as a sticking point. I believe that we can provide that information as quickly as the board is able to calendar it, or we find a mechanism for communication. It's available. We just did not have the opportunity, but this morning and today to really truly dig into that and be prepared for you all. So it would not take a lot of time or preparation to get that information to you all. And we could perhaps at that time look at policy, but I'll defer to the lawyers.
Okay, thank you so much. I think I want to make sure that however we move forward, that there is a legal opinion that is rendered to ensure that, we are protecting everyone, the district, families, kids, staff. And so with that, I will be voting against it.
All right, Board Member Vandermeulen.
Yes, in July of 2017, Governor Walker signed a law allowing trained school staff to administer naloxone sold under the brand name Marcan in an emergency without facing liability. This would codify what we already have.
All right.
Therefore, there is not a liability issue. And my second argument, sorry, I had to pause. I had to breathe. I'm sorry. I've been battling a cold all week. But my second argument is we attempted to meet with legal services on this issue and many issues regarding this. And I think this is an issue that, although it's unfortunate, I think it needs to be addressed and addressed tonight. That's why I'm arguing in support of it.
All right, for Saravo, and then Board Member Muldrow.
Where's Laurel? Oh, okay. I think we should hear from her.
All right. Trying to identify another hand that was raised.
Oh, that's our health services team. Laurel Cornelius is the other hand that's up.
Can we come back to Laurel in a moment after the board members? All right, Board Member Saravo.
I just wanted to respond that I actually made legal services aware of my questions regarding this particular type of opioid antagonistic plan questions back on February 12th. It is now the 23rd. So it's not that this was given to you late. There was no response that actually was helpful in order to decide what went here. So it was mirrored very much off of the other pieces that are already in place. And it is my understanding that opioid antagonists are available in every single nurse's office in our schools as of right now, as well as we are all aware that we have an opioid epidemic, which is why we have them supplied to all of our schools. So you were not supplied with this information over the weekend.
Okay. Board Member Muldrow.
I believe fundamentally when it comes to preventing opioid deaths that we are on the same team. So I want to say that very clearly. I think this is something we care about. I do not doubt that our healthcare professionals take this tremendously seriously. I also don't doubt that the folks who represent the board from a legal perspective take this seriously. So my question is for Petra, and that is, were we to say, hey, we want to take more time in consideration of this amendment, and we will bring this policy back to the floor with this amendment after you all have the opportunity to review it, how much time would that take, and what would that process look like in terms of helping to inform the board from a legal perspective after tonight?
Can I respond?
I am asking you to respond.
Yeah. Thank you, Board Member Muldrow. Legal and the nursing staff would be more than happy to take this policy back and review the 7th Amendment. Pulling up the calendar, the next time, so the instruction work group is the 2nd, that's next Monday. I think that realistically that is a very tight turnaround. What about the March 16th regular meeting? That would give us, I think, enough time to discuss. Or would the preference be a work group?
I wasn't necessarily motioning that we take this policy in its entirety off the table and move it to a different meeting in order to have the conversation specific to the opioid. Oh my gosh, what's the word? Antagonist. I was asking, what does it look like for us to work with you behind the scenes to have a greater understanding, and maybe to work with the Dr. Esser's team to understand our practice. And so what I hear you saying is we could look to have a greater understanding of our approach to opioid intervention later in the month of March. Between now and then, if board members have questions that are specific to this, what, and if board members reach out to our legal team with questions, what will follow up in response to questions related to this look like? What kind of time can folks allocate to making sure the board has enough of an understanding to have this conversation?
Yeah, and the only thing that I would ask to keep in mind would be we want to make sure that we don't have a walking quorum. So if the board is intending to take official action with regard to the policy in this amendment, we would want to make sure that there aren't enough separate meetings with individual board members that we have a walking quorum.
I greatly appreciate that. I think most board members are familiar with a walking quorum. I'm asking, if board members reach out to you one-on-one and want to have a conversation about this, what does the timeline look like to be able to assess your capacity and our legal team's capacity in order to have those questions answered, if for no other reason than to engage in a smoother dialogue on the floor?
Yeah, and to be clear, we would need to have nursing staff present as well too. I would want to make sure that they're there for that conversation. And so I'm available whenever, depending on when meetings are already on the calendar for myself, and I can't speak to our nursing staff's capacity. I know there are some nurses on. I don't want to speak for them.
Thank you. I appreciate your answer.
Board Member Saravo, did you want me to come back to you? Yeah, I just wanted to clarify one thing. So the current language without the amendment is that the district guidelines shall provide for acquisition and maintenance of opioid antagonists for use in the event an authorized employee observes an apparent overdose. So that's already acknowledging that we will acquire it and maintain it, correct? To be used across the district, and the district's plan for that administration shall be posted on the district's website. So it's kind of just at a higher level. We're already acknowledging that we acquire it, we use it, and that there is a district plan that shall be posted on the website. Correct? Yeah. And what I hear in Board Member Saravo's amended language tonight is more specificity about, I mean, when I say specificity, more of the detail of our intent to use it, because we're already using it. We already have it. So I think what I'm trying to think through is if there is, Dr. Esser, your suggestion to provide more information about how it's being used, and so that board members have more understanding before we vote on either amended language or not. I think what I'm trying to gauge is, are we voting on it tonight?
Voting on it.
And it goes either up or down, or are we tabling this particular amendment for a future date and going back to the main motion?
My comment is related to that.
Okay, Board Member Vandermeulen.
And my comment is on why we should not table it. According to the state of Wisconsin, I just looked up the stats, 156 people die a day of opioid overdose. If you type 156 times till March 16th, count the number of days, then quantify the number of students. I'm not quite sure because I'm not a math major, but I think that might be significant. And I think that's why a reason we need to avoid delay, because that means lives.
Just to be clear, what we're cautioning against is an overly prescriptive approach that would limit our ability to respond. So I suspect someday they may invent a different mechanism for which administration is done. It's nasal right now, and that's what's most typical, and that's what's written in policy, but that could change, and we want to be able to use our medical advisors and our medical expertise in order to be nimble. Similarly, it may be that somebody administers Narcan that isn't trained necessarily, but we don't, there aren't medical risks associated with that where something catastrophic would happen and they would lose their life. So what we're trying to do is create and maintain that flexibility and not put restrictions upon ourselves that are unnecessary, so that we're able to ensure without a doubt that those medical intervention would be there and accessible for whomever is available to administer. So really just don't want to lock ourselves into prescribed things that may not serve us in the future as the world evolves.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and acknowledge Laurel, who may want to add something to this, and then we can proceed.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out that because of it being pretty following the other message or the other language that was in there, it does say that it needs to be approved by a physician, advanced practice nurse, or a PA, and that's not a requirement. And so that doesn't make sense actually, because that would limit our ability to have Narcan, which is provided to us like from public health. And this is, and I'm sorry, I don't know really what I'm doing here, but I do have a question about one of the amendments that was already approved, and whether or not something can actually be implemented in our schools. So
hey, Laura, we'll have to go back to that because it's already been approved at the table.
Okay.
We can chat more about that. Sorry.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you for that. All right. Are we ready to move forward? Board Member Saravo?
I'm just going to share that like I'm on the fence with this because I want to get this right. And the reason that this is here is because it was first off, it was included in the original policy, just very minutely. And the reason that this is also in there is because this is talking about medication administration, and an opioid antagonistic device is done different is a different type of administration than the other two that were in here. And I do note that there was an addition to one of the other included pieces that they can also receive products from other healthcare places that don't require the physician thing in there. So I don't mind learning more about this as long as we can bring it back to a vote and have it included in more of an in a similar fashion as it is in here right now.
May I ask a point of clarification? Does she mean the entire all 7 or just number 7? Wanted to make sure.
Sorry. Board Member Saravo, I very much appreciate that you want to get this right. I think that's tremendously important. And what I hear you saying is you would be interested in withdrawing this motion and learning more about it and bringing it back at a later date when we have a more comprehensive understanding of the implications.
That's exactly right. The reason this is in here is because it is important and it is a different type of medication administration.
Thank you.
So if you're going to withdraw it, your second also has to withdraw it. But it doesn't sound like what was described was actually withdrawing the motion. It sounds like what you wanted to do was table the motion in order to explore more information before this same motion is either amended or voted on.
That is correct.
If you were going to be tabling the motion, that would require a second, and that would only
Second.
and that would nobody has made a motion yet. But that would require a second, and that would need to be voted on by only a majority, not a 2/3 vote.
I make the motion.
I asked a question about tabling. We're tabling the amendment, not the entire. Okay.
Correct. That's my understanding. At least
Yes.
I understand. Consider.
Okay, hold on one second. Just
Very sorry.
one point of clarification. So if there is a motion to table the amendment number 7, and it's seconded, and that's approved, we still have a main motion on the table tonight to approve this policy with the additional correct amendments that I've already approved. So are there any implications for the overall policy moving forward?
No.
Okay.
I motion to table amendment 7 of the proposed language of policy 4113 as authored by Board Member Saravo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Have to call it.
Yep. Give me 1 second. Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. I think that's 6. Opposed? Okay, so that passes 6-1 to table that amendment 7. All right, now we're going back to those were all of the amendments.
And thank you, Chair, I apologize for my impairment.
And we have, no worries, and we have a main motion that has 2 amended language. I'm sorry, I've now been locked out of my computer. Hold one moment. All right, so we have the language now added with Amendment 2.
1, 2, and 6.
I'm sorry, let me go back. Amendment 1, which has added language replacing the word contract with agreement. We have motion 2, which adds language around a medication administration error or medication incident being treated as a student health and safety event requiring prompt assessment, documentation, and guardian communication. And motion 5?
Six.
Motion 6. Thank you.
This 5 has to be reintroduced.
All right, which adds language around self-administration of non-prescription medication for students grades 6 and above who demonstrate the ability to safely and independently manage the medication, and that readiness shall be determined by the authorization of parents and guardians and the approval of school health personnel.
Chair, I was incorrect. If we are going to introduce 5A, then it would have had to already, and I screwed up and missed.
Okay. Did I capture all of the approved amendments? Okay. Student representatively, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor, aye. All right, those opposed? All right, thank you. That's 6-1 passes.
May we introduce an additional amendment after the fact for 5 to 5A to remove one word?
The main motion has already.
I didn't think so. If I already missed it, I understand.
Okay, thank you,
And that's fine.
Dana.
I missed it, I admit it. Remember any of it? My entire. I did not miss.
Yeah. Sorry about that. We just voted on that whole policy.
That's what I had thought too, and I misunderstood.
Yeah. Okay.
Is
We're
there a
moving.
way- Can we?
Okay, excuse me.
the rule To allow it to.
Who are you asking this question to? Okay.
Be the chair. Are we allowed to do a suspension of the rules for that one amendment, see if it passes or fails? That's up to the.
Back to motion 5 that was part of the main motion. I guess I would defer to legal.
So technically speaking, it would be an amendment to the revised policy as amended by your recent motion. That is technically speaking on the agenda for this evening, so it certainly could be proposed.
I would request that if possible, and I appreciate the chair's privilege on that.
Okay, I'm okay with that if we're gonna complete this. So somebody's making a motion to amend
I would have moved.
the recently the approved policy.
It's a motion to modify board policy 4113 as amended.
I would move to amend board policy 4113 as amended to create 5A to remove the 24-hour notice provision. The same day provision, just the words same day.
Okay, so.
A second.
Oh.
Second.
Okay, so I just want to clarify. Is it to keep all other language in motion 5, but striking the words same day?
Correct.
Is that the only thing that's
Correct.
changing?
Correct.
Okay.
Martha, second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Board Member Mosner Feltham.
Sorry, if it hasn't been seconded, I have nothing to say.
Yes, it was seconded by Board Member Saravo.
Got you. I can't vote for that motion because the motion to the amendment, the revision to the policy does not include telephone notification specifically. I would vote for a revision to the policy that struck in addition to the same day telephone notification completely.
Are you willing to amend that sentence? So, no. You want the friendly amendment to take that whole sentence out? You take it out, then it. Think of that too.
Simply speaking, there's no such thing as a friendly amendment. You have to.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I misunderstood and I apologize, Counselor. That was my bad. You would, got the language 20, the sole phone call 25. Because they have multiple ways of
She's with.
the only way of that. That's still calling that.
If the board member is withdrawing the motion and the second can be withdrawn, then it can be reintroduced.
And that is what I will do. So I'm withdrawing my motion and are you withdrawing your second?
I'm also withdrawing the second.
I then reintroduce 5A, and I apologize for the complexity of this situation, but I would take out the line, and please let me, because I can't see what scrap it is. In addition to the notification, a written summary of the incident shall be provided to the parent guardian within 48 hours of notification of the discovery of the error or incident. It strikes the word telephone.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm tracking. So right now, it would be saying written summary to parent guardian. In addition to,
It removes telephone completely.
so in addition to notification.
Yes. In addition, a written summary, it would get, in addition, a written summary of the incident.
Okay, so you're striking the words, the same day telephone notification.
Correct.
Now reading, in addition, a written summary
Yes.
of the incident shall be provided
Yes.
to the parent guardian within 48 hours.
Strike.
Is that period? Okay, and then of the error or incident.
Correct.
And are you keeping the written summary shall include and then all of the bullets? Just trying to confirm what the actual language is.
Everything, keep everything but information on how to request records. So that one would be struck.
Keeping the written summary shall include a factual description of the incident, observed student response, actions taken by school personnel, recommended follow-up, if any, contact information for further questions.
Correct. All correct. Right. Second.
Second.
Okay.
Martha.
Thank you.
Is Ali here?
Okay, I do see Laurel's hand up, so I think we'll take a response from the administration. And then I'm gonna ask the same question that I continue to ask. All right, but Laurel, do you wanna comment on this one?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to be really clear, and this is something I can defer to legal, but my understanding is writing up anything around the incident report is considered a patient healthcare record because the information that is within the bullet points, within the written summary, is what is required in our Infinite Campus documentation. And so I would just caution voting on an amendment that goes in direct contradiction to our laws around having written release due to FERPA and HIPAA requirements.
It doesn't apply under 45 CFR. Sorry.
Okay, I would again defer because my understanding is we are not allowed to give this information without a parent consent for a minor child.
And it's specific.
Okay, thank you so much. Does legal have any additional response or context to the point that the health services professional brought up?
I do agree with Laurel. It is my understanding, not practicing currently as a healthcare attorney, that if we are talking about healthcare records, so if the record, once it's completed with the bulleted list that is included in the proposed amendment, if it rose to the level of being considered a healthcare record, would require a release from the parents in order to have that released. But again, I would want some time to look at this, and I do think that the distinction between a pupil record and healthcare record is a little bit more complicated.
The statute.
Okay, thank you, Petra. All right, Board Member Vandermeulen.
Statute 45 USC that I had stated earlier, and now I come up with it, states that nurses can release information without parental permission, and it does allow that in cases. That is under the Health and Human Service website. I was just there, so give me a second.
I'm sorry,
Well-
point of order, Board Member Vandermeulen, you're now saying that you're now saying that nurses can provide medical information to who without parental. So I'm struggling to understand that because you said they don't need parental permission, but the person we're providing it to is the parent.
Correct, that they are saying that they wouldn't do it because it requires permission. It doesn't require permission.
From the parent
Correct,
to get the document.
correct.
I feel like I'm missing something. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, can I pull up the full statute?
Legal services would need time to look into this. I'm not comfortable rendering a decision like this.
Because I read it into the record earlier, and I wish I could go back. I didn't have the closed captions on, that it was 45 USC 16, and I'm trying to see, give me one more second, please.
I would just caution too against, we don't want to read the statute in isolation. We would want to look at the surrounding provisions in the statute as well. That would be my last comment.
Okay, I see Laurel's hand back up again. Oh, no, it's not. Board Member Castro?
If Laurel had something to say, I'd be interested in hearing it, but I am not comfortable with reading this statute on the floor on the fly. And having like these very quick interpretations of something of major consequence. So I'd recommend that we table this.
My issue is that they were saying that there's a legal protection.
I'm not sure if your hand was raised.
This is my motion.
Okay, well, Board Member Castro, thank you for that, Board Member Castro. So, you all, we have this motion that's been modified. You have a second. We're in the discussion round. At this point, we've had some responses from the administration. It seems like we're ready to vote.
That's fine.
Okay. Board Member Saravo, do you have a final comment before we take the vote?
Since we're already tabling part of this, I was going to entertain an option to table this as well, because I really believe that parents deserve to have something that's in writing after something like this. And there are other districts that do separate a parent notification in writing from the internal record. And it's done for the purposes of making sure that parents have something in writing after an incident. This is not a bad thing to consider, but I do understand that there are legal ramifications that follow this. I would like to align us and actually come together in this instead of trying to decide to make parents go through the full the information of how to requesting records information. That seems ridiculous to have to go through that way. This is to simplify the process and to make it accessible to parents close to the event.
Okay, so I heard what you basically said is that you would like to table it, which means going back to what we did previously, the maker of the motion would need to withdraw. The person who seconded would need to withdraw.
It sounded like it was a motion to table, which would.
Right.
Second, not to withdraw, but to table.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the clarification.
So Board Member Saravo is moving to
Which, can I hear it?
withdraw the motion.
I don't know if she's withdrawing or just tabling it. Just table. I'm sorry. I confused things. I thought that they had to withdraw table, but it's fine.
So it's a to table.
Motion to table 5A, right?
Second.
Okay. Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. To table. Okay, so I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those opposed. All right, 1. Okay, so we have 2 items on this policy that will come back. One is around the policy language related to written communication. And then the other one around the opioid antagonist plan. Okay. I believe we are done on this policy. What was that? For now. Good work, everybody.
Can we put that on the calendar for the 16th?
Okay, we're not going to do committee work right now. Thank you. We need to move on. We've got several other policies. Thank you, Board Member Vandermeer. And next up is policy 6700. I move that the Board of Education approve policy 6700, proposal for naming or renaming a MMSD school building or school facility in accordance with the documents prepared for the February 23rd, 2026 regular meeting. Policy will be revised effective immediately.
Second, Maya.
Okay, Board Member Muldrow.
I really appreciate the work that went into this policy. I'm planning to vote against this policy this evening for 2 reasons. One, I believe the policy gives preferential treatment to folks who are easily accessible via survey or who have more interest in participating in district surveys. The other reason I'm voting against this policy is because I do not believe it's reflective of what I've heard from the community in terms of the renaming process. And I think that it's a policy that creates barriers and steps that make it more difficult to address some of the harsh history that is the reason schools are often renamed. I just wanted to be clear about why I'm voting the way I'm voting. I don't expect anybody to explain the policy to me or to have any further discussion, at least for my benefit. I will be voting against this policy this evening.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right.
No, I'm just.
Seeing none. Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor, aye. All right, I see 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 4. Okay, and those opposed. All right, that passes 4-3. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next policy, policy 6701. I move that the Board of Education approve policy 6701, proposal for naming a facility or area within a school or school campus in accordance with the documents prepared for the February 23rd, 2026 regular meeting. The policy will, the policy will be revised effective immediately.
Second, Maya.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this one? Your hand is up. Okay. All right, seeing none. Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, 4, and then those opposed. All right, 3. All right, that passes 4-3. Okay, you all. We're gonna move into the consent agenda at this point. All right,
Oh, policy, but go ahead.
okay. What?
On the consent agenda, I thought you,
Motion. I move that the Board of Education adopt and approve all of the motions set forth in section 10 of the electronic agenda prepared for the February 23rd, 2026 regular school board meeting exactly as said motions are written. By voting affirmatively on this motion, a board member expresses his, her, or their affirmative vote on each of the motions consolidated, hereby subject to any express separations that have been made by any member of the school board.
Second, Maya.
All right, colleagues, any separations tonight?
yes, 10.6, please, and, the auditorium one as well, which I'm getting 10.12.
10.6 and 10.12.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Any others? All right. Board Member Bravo.
10.7 and 10.8, please.
10.7, 10.8. All right, thank you. All right. We will vote on the main motion. Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor, aye. All right, that is 7 and passes unanimously. All right, we'll work our way through. Let me go to 10.6, which is the updated recommendation for universal social emotional learning curriculum at the elementary level. I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase of a universal social emotional learning or SEL curriculum for elementary schools for a total of $278,875 over the next 3 fiscal years using the curriculum and instruction, curriculum review of learning materials and student and staff support SEL software as a service budget.
Second, Maya.
All right. Who wanted this one expressed? Board Member Vandermeulen?
Yes. I respect the curriculum. I got my questions answered through the memo. I cannot support this. I believe in counselors, not computers. And I respect the need for the program, but I cannot support for those reasons. Thank you.
Okay. All right, not seeing any other hands up. Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right. That was 5 of us?
Yeah.
Okay. Opposed? All right, 1. Okay. So that's a 5-1. Yeah, 5-1 approval. Thank you. All right, moving on to 10.7. This is a contract for Director of Special Projects. All right, here's the motion. I move that the Board of Education approve an expenditure in the amount not to exceed $190,864.70, of which will be reimbursed by payment from the University of Madison School of Education at 50% of a 1.0 FTE, not to exceed $95,432.35 for the Director of Special Projects position.
Second, Maya.
Board Member Swab?
I wanted to get some clarity on why this motion is separated out by itself. I understand that it's a collaboration with UW in that regards. And also wondering, I see that this position has been around since 2017. And I'm wondering, since we are looking at salary and very cognizant of where that is, I would just like to understand why or the amount that we're going for, and it works with UW. I'm just trying to understand the salary schedule of where this position lies and the work that goes into it.
I see. I will ask my colleague to step in here. Cindy Green will be joining us. She's on right now to speak to that. But yes, just to clarify a couple of things here. Thank you for that comment, board member Saravo. So this has been a longstanding partnership in which we are reimbursed by the university, UW-Madison 50%. For each of the years. And in terms of the steps, again, I'll defer to my colleague to share any more insight on that. Cindy, are you on there?
Good
Oh,
evening.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yes, I'm here. In relation to the question of the salary, it is based on the salary scale for a director position. And so that salary scale has been the increase of just the cost of living per year from the original contract. The reason it shows up here is because of the 50% split. Since we partner with UW-Madison, they pay for 50% of the salary as well. And so in order to have that reimbursement happen, we are able to have it approved by the board to get the funding back. The other thing I would note is that the salary includes full benefits, healthcare, and all of that. So it isn't just the take home, but it includes everything that we have to bundle for and cover within a salary, full benefits, healthcare, et cetera.
Yeah, so we take the cost of all of that and then we get reimbursed.
If there was a comment or question at the board level, I wasn't able to hear it, or if you need additional questions answered. Board member Saravo.
No, I appreciate the clarity on this. It seems there's a 50% in like the cost for this position, but the benefits are solely under MMSD for it.
No, so we take the cost, so not just salary, but it's also the fringe, it's healthcare, it's all the other benefits, and then we get 50% of that reimbursement. So that total is 50%. It's not just the salary. It's the total package, and then we receive 50% reimbursement from the University of Wisconsin.
We've had this position for a long time. Can you tell me how it's grown over the years?
Yeah, there's been a lot of different ways it's shaped. It started out where this was a high intensity formal partnership with UW-Madison. And since then, it has definitely shifted. We've gone through many different iterations in terms of the work we've done with UW-Madison. And most recently, it's really grown into supporting our Grow Your Own programs to really think about diversifying and also thinking about our staffing needs. And so something that we shared at our last, a couple of board meetings ago, we shared some of the successes we were having in regards to that. And a big part of that is this position. I think the other part in which it's really changed and enhanced is our ways of collaborating. Having this position really allows us to have a great flow of back and forth between our partner right here in our backyard, as UW-Madison partners with us on many other things. So yeah, it's definitely changed in terms of the focus. And right now that focus is really driven by, thinking about our Grow Our Own and really investing in our staff.
I really appreciate that. And I know that the programs that are housed therein, Cindy said that the position itself has really like this, because we're voting on it today, it's because there's also because the salary is significant behind it. I was wondering if we might be able to just see the breakdown of that or how that's grown, if that's something that need to be requested.
You would like a breakdown of the work that this individual does?
No, just where this position started as far as like we're voting on it here, because it's a significant investment for MMSD. And I want to know as a board member, and I assume my colleagues might want to know where the position started as far as the investment that we put into it, where it started and where it's gotten to here.
Could I ask for just clarification? Are you looking at the salary schedule and when the position was hired, the salary and where the salary is now?
Yes, just so I can understand the breakdown of that position and what, where it started and where it is today and our alignment with UW, or if it's always been on the same 50% breakdown.
I could tell you the 50% has always been true when we engaged in this partnership. I think it was probably back in about 2017. It's always been a 50-50 split. It's been a shared role between us and the UW School of Education. So that is, we would have to work with our HR team to do the salary schedule, and I don't know if that impacts the board's vote tonight, but I don't think we would be able to provide that on hand. But I see Dr. McCray at the mic, so I'll pause.
Yeah, we can provide that breakdown via a weekly update for this week. Jennifer will provide it.
Yeah, thank you. I understand that might take a little bit of work behind the scenes, but I appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, not seeing any other hands for questions or comments. Student Representative Lee, your advisory.
Aye.
All right, those in favor, aye. 1, 2. That's 5. Okay, and those opposed?
Sorry, I just want to make sure you saw I voted aye.
Yes, I got you, Board Member Castro. Thank you. 1 opposed, okay, and abstain? Okay. That passes. 5, 1, 1. All right, we're on to the next one, 10.8. This one is about a data use agreement. Let me read the motion. I move that the Board of Education approve the data use agreement between MMSD, the City of Madison Traffic Engineering Division, and Tool Design Group at a dollar amount of 0.
Second, Maya.
Okay, Board Member Saravo, you asked this separation?
I thought this was a nice way for us to talk about the Safe Routes to Schools program that's out there and to highlight the work that's being done.
Do you have a question? Because, yeah, is there
So
a
look-
specific question?
Sure. The work in the note that it says that something is starting in July. I assume that there is work currently being done about the Safe Routes to Schools. So what is starting in the summer? What's shifting? It says there was a start date, right?
So this work continues to keep going on. It's been going on for about 8 months now. And we'll continue to working through the new UHT design framework with that group. And this is part of that data use to keep sharing that information.
I appreciate you providing us the notes of what happens at that meeting. I hope that you'll continue to provide us with the information that goes on there, because I think it's really essential for us to understand what kind of collaboration is going on in regards to our students getting to school and how the city is changing along with our expectations when we have when there's being changes in the city, it affects us greatly.
All right, Board Member Mosner Feltham and then Board Member Muldrow.
I just want to say I'm really happy with this collaboration. I think that the Safe Routes to School collaboration between the city and the school district and many other partners is a really beautiful example of the way that we collaborate across city agencies. And so I'm really glad that we have an opportunity to comment on it. I want to thank you, Scott, for your work on this. And if people in the City of Madison Traffic Engineering happen to be watching or reading notes later, thank you. And thank you also to all of the partners who are working on this, because this is a collaborative effort that spans agencies and is existing. So when people feel that maybe there's not any collaboration, this is one example that I point to of a really excellent collaboration. I don't have any questions, just appreciation.
Board Member Muldrow, thank you, Board Member.
I have a question about how this landed on the consent agenda. So we passed a policy that is our procurement policy, and it basically says in order for something to appear on our consent agenda, it has to reach a certain threshold of investment. And because there's a $0 amount related to this, I'm just curious if there is an element of infrastructure missing about why this landed.
Because it's data sharing. So all of our data sharing agreements come to the board for approval. So anytime we're sharing data with different parties, we have to bring it to the board for the board to vote on them,
Okay.
even if there's zero cost.
Okay.
So it's not about the cost, it's about the data in which we're sharing.
Is there anything you want to highlight about the data that we're sharing in order to promote safer schools or routes? All right, thank you.
I do have one quick follow-up question, if you don't mind. Is this third-party consultant, the tool design that's doing the analysis, is that new, or is that always been part of the way some of the data around current and potential kind of crossing guard locations or unusually hazardous areas, has it always been analyzed by a third party, or is that a newer component to the data sharing agreement?
As far as I'm more aware, this last year and a half, City of Medicine's working with tool design to do the safe routes to school planning.
Can you come closer? Thank you.
So for about the last year and a half, as far as I'm aware of, safe routes to school has been gone through tool design and that process with the City of Madison.
Okay, thank you so much.
Firm.
Thank you. Okay, Board Member Saravo?
I was looking for clarity because I was just pulling it off the top of my head before about where the July 1st, it was the research project will be conducted from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026 is where I was, I had the end date, the timeline was there. So. Just saying that for clarity. Thank you.
All right, not seeing any other hands or comments. Student Representative Lee, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor, aye. All right, that looks like it was unanimous. Thank you, no opposed. Moving on to 10.12, the Vandermeulen Auditorium panels. I move that the Board of Education approve the installation of acoustic, absorbative, sorry about that, and diffusive panels by Central Ceiling Systems for a total of $79,368, funded by the fiscal year 26 Building Services Operating Budget.
Second, Maya.
I pull this as a thank you. One, because La Follette does need that in its concert hall. And two, bear with me, I know it's late, but when I was 9 years old, my grandmother was dying of cancer, and the La Follette Choir personally came to her apartment to sing to her shortly before her death. I will always be indebted to the music department at La Follette High School, and I'm doing this as a thank you to them.
Thank you. Nope. All right, Student Representative Lee, your advisory?
Aye.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, passes unanimously. All right, we're moving on with the rest of the agenda. All right, other reports to the board. We're at the point of turning over to Student Representative Lee on Student Senate.
Yeah, thank you. So Student Senate met on the 11th and 18th of February. Education Equity has been planning a panel next year focused on AP classes with a goal of hosting the panel next fall. This panel was seen successful at La Follette, so they want to continue that at the rest of the high schools. And Student Wellness has their mental health fairs coming along with the target dates to be in late May. And our next meeting will be on the 4th of March, where we will hope to continue committee work. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Next up is Madison School and Community Recreation Advisory Committee, Board Member Mosner Feltham.
Thank you, President Nichols. MSCR summer camp registration opened today at noon. MSCR has camps for youth interested in arts, outdoors, sports, and more for young people entering grades 4K through 9. In the consent today that we didn't pull, but it was in consent today, construction is I'm gonna start again. Construction is progressing on the new cabins at the Madison School Forest. I wonder if anybody on this body has spent the night in the old school forest cabins. So you'll be excited to learn that the new school forest cabins are under construction. There are 4 new cabins that will provide enhanced opportunities for students and the community to engage in outdoor education and environmental learning. They are supposed to be completed by early April for use this spring, summer, and fall. Every year, MSCR hosts over 5,000 MMSD students on field trips, as well as even more people out for community programs and overnight group camping at the school forest, which is over 300 acres. So that is my update from the MSCR Advisory Committee.
Thank you so much. We don't have any updates from Policy Committee, as most of the Policy Committee's work happened tonight. We were voting on policy. All right, moving on to other business. All right, our next topic is related to the Verona Area School District attachment detachment. It was pulled. Okay. Thank you. No, it is not. That is not our next topic.
I understand.
Sitting in my board. Ooh, ouch. Disallowance of claim? Is that still on? Okay, thank you. I move that the Board of Education disallow a claim on behalf of the under Wisconsin State Statute 893.80, demanding changes to certain MMSD practices and policy.
Second.
Okay. A student advisory, student representative, were there any questions, comments? No, I know. I know. Student representative, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
My bad, Michelle.
It's okay. I'm just doing what the board does. Board member does. Moving right along. It's getting late. I move that the Board of Education approve the unusually hazardous transportation plan for James C. Wright Middle School.
Second, Maya.
Any questions or comments on this one? All right, seeing none, student representative Lee, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Did you vote aye? Or opposed? Abstain? Oh, you did vote aye? Okay, thank you. That passed unanimously. All right, y'all, we can entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Nick. All right, that's been seconded. All those in favor, adjournment? Great, thank you. Good night.
Good night, team.